Out of the Big Ten. We are at the corner of South Main Street and East Stadium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And folks, believe me, the air is rife with anticipation. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mark Jones in the house along with Tim Brandt. And welcome to what should be another exciting season of college football here on ABC. Tim, let's start with the Maize and Blue. They haven't even played a regular season game yet, but we're talking about injuries.
Mark, very few college teams in the country can lose two great offensive players and expect to dominate, much less win, but Michigan has and does. Tyrone Wheatley is out with a separated shoulder, arguably the best player in the country. Walter Smith blew out his knee last week. Well, he's gone for the season. That'll hurt the Wolverines, I think, as much on special teams as it will at wideout. Now, on the other side of the field, a brand new coach, a brand new quarterback. Dan Henning, longtime head coach in the National Football League. The Wolverines really don't know what to expect from him. And Mark Hartzell, the young sophomore, his first college start, how he reacts today in front of 105,000 is critical.
It's not going to be easy. Michigan has won its last 4 home openers. Right now, we're going to go to New York and John Saunders.
Thanks a lot, guys. And from New York, we will continue to update scores and highlights throughout the day and night. And right now, let's update a couple of scores. Auburn looking for their 12th straight, holding on over Ole Miss right now, 22-17. Texas and Pittsburgh, 27-22 is that score late in the fourth quarter as well. A reminder tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Notre Dame and Northwestern, or Tennessee and UCLA. At halftime of those games, you'll get a chance to hear an interview I recently did with Bobby Bowden. Enjoy your game. We'll see you at
A scene that is one of the most recognizable in all of college football. The Maize and Blue coming out of the tunnel in front of another sellout crowd of over 105,000 people. Right now, downstairs to the newest member of our broadcast crew, Gary Reasons. Gary, what's up?
Well, another big story here in Michigan that centers around Gary Moeller, the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. The fans here in Ann Arbor were not very happy with the slow start the Wolverines had last year, incurring 4 losses. They're very cognizant of the potential this team has this year, and also some questions about Gary Moeller's practice habits, allowing 2 of his better players to get hurt during practice. These are things we'll talk about as the game goes on.
All right, Gary, thanks a lot. Never, never, ever, Tim Brandt, easy being a head coach. You come under so much scrutiny.
Here's the first decision for the new head coach for Boston College. They elected to receive. They won the toss. I think that's a very good move on his part. Get the real young guy out on the field early. We're talking about Mark Hartzell, the young quarterback. Let him take his hits and his licks early. Get him into the ball game. Get him into a rhythm, a flow.
Dan Henning back on campus. The last time he was on campus was with Florida State. He has 20 years of NFL experience recently with the Detroit Lions as their offensive coordinator, but it is a different atmosphere and a different situation altogether in the college ranks. And Gary Moeller in his 5th year as head coach for the University of Michigan. There's a look at the head coach, the record of 36-9-3. Said there were so many unknowns about Coach Henning's crew, he wasn't sure what to do in preparation.
Well, the feeling is that his concept will be very much like Coughlin's was last year at Boston College. It'll be the pro attack, the pro passing attack. But he likes the one-back scheme, and folks, you're going to see a lot of motion today. You'll see the tight end, an awful lot go in motion. They'll try to move the defense around. You know what's interesting about Dan Henning? He actually wanted to go to Boston College and get a scholarship, and he didn't. Instead, he had to go down south. Went to college, and finally, here he is 34 years later, gets to Chestnut Hill as the head coach.
So they got him just a little bit late, but he still made it. And we are now just moments away from the opening kickoff. Remy Hamilton will kick it off for the University of Michigan. They are the winningest program in Division I football with over 700 wins.
You know, Mark, I feel that Boston College really needs to have some early success in this ball game. Michigan's the heavy favorite. Boston College is a very tough, hard-nosed team with great success last year, 9-3, beat Notre Dame. But they have to have some early success here in Ann Arbor.
Tony Ransom and Kenyatta Watson are back deep, standing on their own 5-yard line for Boston College. That is Remy Hamilton. The kicking game and the punting game, one of the big question marks for the University of Michigan this year. Here's the kick. It'll land at about the 7-yard line to Watson. And Watson takes it out over the 25, and he's tackled at about the 26-yard line, and that is where this man, number 10, Mark Hartzell, will take the reins of this Boston College offense. He's 6'5", 215 pounds, just a sophomore, and as we mentioned earlier, he was making his first career start.
And he's got a gun for an arm. He is really a strong-arm big quarterback.
Now look at the backs and the receivers. Pete Mitchell led the Big East in receptions last year. He's the guy to watch up there.
Also watch Gordon Lara. Wherever he goes, that's where the ball will go. He's the blocking tight end, 260 pounds.
David Green is the lone back behind the quarterback.
There's your motion.
And they're going to throw it on first down. Hartzell looking downfield.
Got a
man wide open. It's complete, and he could score. Bryce is in the house on the first play of the game. How do you like that?
That's the early success we talked about.
Greg Bryce.
74 yards, the young quarterback, 1-for-1, touchdown, Boston College.
We talked about early success, Tim. This is it.
Tom Coughlin's staff felt that this quarterback had more potential than Foley. Then Henning left, or came in, and this kid had a great spring. He's strong arm. We told you about that. Bryce goes deep. He had plenty of time to throw the ball. Bryce says, I'm even, I'm leaving. There's nobody even close. They were in a 2 deep, 5 under. And how Grice got behind him, I don't know, but it's a great play for Boston College.
The man that Grice got behind, Tim, was Chuck Winters, who was beaten badly on that play. And it took them all of 16 seconds, folks, to score. A 74-yard bolt of lightning early in the game, and Boston College leads 6-0. We have a flag on the field.
You want to hear how loud silence could be at 105,000? Listen.
Dead ball, delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty.
They might have been so excited about the touchdown they forgot to get enough men on the field.
The officials don't even need a microphone right now. You can hear them up here.
David Gordon will kick the extra point out of the hold of the backup quarterback, number 8, Jeff Ryan. It is right through the uprights.
What a great job by the holder to get the ball off the ground and place it so he could split the sticks.
One more look at that touchdown from Hartzell to Greg Grice.
This is a kid that hadn't even played. He had got in 5 games mop-up duty, completed 2 passes. That was it. First of all, look at all the time he has. Gets to reload. Now he looks, and Grice has already split the 2 deep. They came up, he got behind him, and bingo. Ball was perfectly thrown. Grice, a talented kid from Florida, his first 2 college receptions were for touchdowns.
And that has to do loads for that man's confidence, Mark Hartzell. Glenn who?
I wonder if that's ever happened before in college football. Hartzell's first completion in his first start as a touchdown. Grice's first 2 college receptions were for touchdowns.
He's filling some pretty big shoes, Tim, with Glenn Foley, who is now a member of the New York Jets. But right now, he has made the people back in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, who are watching this game, forget about Glenn Foley.
Let me say this about Hartzell. As a kid, he wanted to play in the Big Ten. He is today.
Well, Michigan is going to get its opportunity to respond. Mercury Hayes and Seth Smith are back standing on their own 5-yard line. Kicking off is number 11. And it's Jeff Beckley. There's a look at Hayes. But you would have to think that Michigan is just a bit shaken at this point. They can't help but be.
This is a club that started out last year with tremendous expectations and went 4-4 in the first 8 games. They don't want to have any kind of injuries because they don't have a lot of depth. Wheatley is out, Smith is out, and all of a sudden Boston College comes and rips you on the first play from scrimmage for a touchdown.
And here's the kick from Beckley. It's going to be a short one. Taken at the 13-yard line. One of the upbacks out to the 25. The was Chris Howard, the backup running back, who returned it out to the 25. And that is Collins, Todd Collins. Last year, he completed almost 64% of his passes. He is one of the most accurate passers in Michigan history, and he threw 17 touchdowns.
He's also thrown 423 passes and only 10 interceptions.
First down and 10 from the 25. Todd Collins and his offensive staff looking to answer Boston College. They hand it off on first down, and there might be little or no gain. Ed Davis, the running back, on the carry. As we take a look at the backs and the receivers for the Maize and Blue, it's Davis, Shea Foster, Mercury Hayes, Amani Toomer, and Jay Remersma, who is a former quarterback. And the man conspicuous by his absence there, number 6. Tyrone Wheatley.
And Walter Smith. You know, Smith could have gone pro last year as well, but decided to stay just like we did.
Davis and Foster in the backfield, lining up out of the eye on second down and 10. Davis again, he has about 5. It'll leave them third down and 5. And they ran it up the middle that time over this big offensive line. 298 pounds, 299, 288, 299, and 299. That is meat and potatoes.
All right, now here's the key there. The offensive line, the interior 5, will average almost 300 pounds. The defensive front for Boston College is about 270. So there's a mismatch.
Tim, right now, third down and 6. 4 wide receivers for Michigan. Collins is brought down at the 26-yard line, and they will have to punt. The sack by Stalin Collinet.
Collinet came free on the outside, but more importantly, what allowed him to get there is the fact that he's 6'6". Now watch Collins when he drops back. He's looking down the middle, now checks off and goes to his right. Here comes Collinet, who's 6'6". Collins can't throw over him, so pulls it back down, and Collinet has his first sack of the season.
And oh, how Michigan could use this man, Tyrone Wheatley. Trying to rally the troops on the sideline, doing whatever he can. Nate DeLong for Michigan, punting from his own 12-yard line. Kenyatta Watson and Tony Ransom back, and this is going to be Watson. Not really a great punt. It's down to the 41-yard line, and Boston College will have tremendous field position after that 33-yard punt. They lead 7-0, just underway here in Ann Arbor. Back in Ann Arbor, Mark Jones along with Tim Brandt and Gary Reasons. Boston College leading by a score of 7-0 with 12:43 to play in the first quarter after a 74-yard touchdown reception by Greg Grice from Mark Hartzell. David Green, the lone back, and he gets the carry. Has about 3 yards on the play. It'll be about 2nd and 7. The tackle by Jarrett Irons. We asked the head coach from Boston College, Henning, what it would take for his team to be successful. Here's what he had to say.
We could play very well, and if they play very well, sounds to me, based on outside perception, that they got a better chance to win the game than we do. Our job is to make sure they bring it all to the table, because if they don't, then we'll have a chance to win.
That might be one of the most prophetic statements of the young season, Tim. On second down, David Green has the first down into Michigan territory at the 44, a 12-yard pickup and a first down.
Mark, talking to a lot of coaches around the country this week in preparation for this game, specifically with Jerry Claiborne down in Kentucky, he was saying the thing about Boston College is if you don't come and really bring it to them in a hurry and go after them, that this is a club that'll knock you right on your butt. I mean, they are tough kids at Boston College. We saw it last year at Notre Dame. Took it to South Bend and beat the Irish. They're off to an early start here. They've got that early success, and as young players now have some confidence to build on.
It's first down and 10 after that nice run over the right side by David Green. Mitchell in motion. Handed off to Green again. This time he stopped up, trying the right side once again. The tackle made by Tony Henderson. Seeing as how we were never formally introduced because of the touchdown, here's a look at the offensive backs and receivers for Boston College. Pete Mitchell is the man to watch. He is the Big East leading receiver from a year ago, made over 100 receptions. And a look at the offensive line, which has 3 returning starters. This group can flourish into one of the best in the country.
Definite passing down now for Hartzell.
Three wide receivers in. Michigan coming on the blitz, and they get to him, and it's an incomplete pass. Jared Irons came on a dog. And Steve Morrison with pressure as well.
Irons led the team in tackles last year, started as a freshman, set the record. Only freshman to lead Michigan in tackles other than Eric Anderson. He had 20 more than Anderson in his first year. Jared Irons, of course, you know he's the son of the former NFL star Gerald Irons. But still, that was a good play by Hartzell. He felt the blitz coming, got to him. He still tried to get it to his back, his safety valve Green, for the incompletion rather than taking the sack.
Hartzell did say, Tim, that learned a lot in watching Foley last year. Learned a lot about preparation, so you would think he would be ready coming into the game. Here he is back to pass on 3rd and long. And he wisely throws it out of bounds. Good coverage that time by the Michigan secondary. And Boston College will have to punt. Jeff Beckley is going to be standing on his own 42-yard line. And Amani Toomer, who is an extremely dangerous punt returner, is on his own 10. Beckley averaged a little over 40 yards a punt last year. Nice high punt. They'll try and down it inside, but they couldn't get it. It goes into the end zone. They're going to mark it. Oh, and they are. The man's momentum seemed like it took him into the end zone, Tim. What exactly is the ruling on that? We'll get to that in just a minute, but first back to John Saunders with this update. John?
Mark, thanks a lot. You had a quick hitter in your game. Well, how about Washington and USC? Damon Heward, rather, the quarterback, finds Eric Bjornsson, who is a converted quarterback. And he takes off for the end zone, down the sidelines, beating the tacklers, and touchdown. 7-0 Washington over USC. Mark and Tim.
Okay, John. The moral of the story is, folks, don't blink or don't sleep, because things happen quickly on Saturday afternoons. He doesn't take much. Well, Michigan in the shadows of its own goalpost now, starting on the 1-yard line, and they safely hand it off. That was Ed Davis. Here's another look at the downing of the punt.
Now, the key to this play, Mark, is that he catches it in the air. Now, watch this. Catches it in the air. Where he catches it, it's marked. Forget what happened afterwards, running into the end zone, dropping the ball at the 1 or at the goal line. It's marked right there where he caught it at the 1-yard line.
Good call by the official. 10-11 to play in the first quarter. Boston College leading. 2nd down and 9 now for Michigan. Davis dangerously taking it wide that time, and he was lucky to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
I want to tell you, that was a great play made by the cornerback Kamara. Joe Kamara came up and took on the blocker and actually forced the play out of bounds. He almost forced the safety.
Let's go downstairs now to Gary Reasons. Gary?
Guys, this crowd is completely out of the ballgame. 105,000 strong here. I can hear the plays being called on the sideline.
But Gary, what's next? 3rd down and long, deep in its own zone. And Todd Collins is forced to call a timeout. And a smattering of boos now coming from the Michigan faithful. We'll be back right after this. College football on ABC Sports, brought to you by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We are driving excitement. Payne Weber, we believe our most important investment is an investment in relationships. And the beer that's colder, bolder, yet smooth as ice. Molson Ice from Canada, the land where ice was born. Michigan with 3rd down and long. 3 wide receivers in for the Blue. Collins deep in his own end zone. There's a flag down and a 1st down for Michigan at the 17-yard line. Amani Toomer, but that's sort of the flag.
That'll be negated. This is going to be holding against Michigan. They'll have to bring it back.
And that they do.
They had Collinet wrapped up and actually slammed him at the back line of the end zone. Watch the pressure coming from the top of your screen. And it looks like another sack is about to occur. But all of a sudden, Jenkins, number 77, locks him up under the arm and takes him down on the back line. They'll bring it back. Right now, I got to tell you, Michigan does not look prepared. And to that degree, I think Dan Henning's done a better job of getting his team ready.
On the offense, the penalty is in the end zone. By rule, the penalty is administered to the spot of the foul. That results in a safety.
Oh, look at that. So Boston College is awarded the deuce, and they now have a 9-0 lead, and they will get the ball back.
And now Michigan will free kick the ball back to Boston College, and all of a sudden Boston College, reminiscent of the first time these two clubs met, has the 9-0 lead. These clubs have met one other time. It was 1991, and BC had a 10-0 lead in that game. There is the top of your screen, and you see Jenkins
with a face mask
slamming him down there. There's the flag, and that's the safety. Now, because it's in the end zone, the flag is thrown in the end zone. The foul occurred in the end zone. That is a safety on a change of possession.
And Michigan will punt it from its own 20-yard line. And Boston College, subsequently, will get good field position out of this.
I think I originally said Collinet. Of course, he has a sack already. It was 59 Mamula who was taken down. He had 11 sacks last year, and he's so tall, too, that he forces quarterbacks to readjust.
In speaking with Gary Moeller yesterday, Tim, he said that he was afraid of his team coming out early and starting very inauspiciously. Talked about turnovers and what a nightmare that would be. It hasn't been turnovers here, but it's been Boston College's efficiency.
Well, and we talked at the top of the telecast. I felt strongly coming in that Boston College here in Ann Arbor had to have early success, and obviously they have had it.
Nate DeLong punting it, and coming down at the 28, it's Tony Ransom. And it's brought down at the 36-yard line.
Michigan is an unbelievably talented football team. Many have them, almost everybody have them in the top 5, has them in the top 5 in the polls. Some have them picked to win the national championship. So they're going to kick in, and Boston College is going to have some inconsistencies with their young player. So it's going to be a heck of a game.
Well, we're just under 10 minutes to play in the first quarter, and so far the play that has set the tone for the game so far is the opening play of the game for Boston College.
This is Mark Hartzell, his first collegiate start, his first pass. He had plenty of time to throw it, found Bryce behind the 2-deep zone, and that was the touchdown.
Bryce goes in motion. And they hand it off, a huge hole over the right side. David Green is right at the first down marker at the 47-yard line. And he's brought down by Chuck Winters, the free safety. That Michigan defense has been on the field for a long time. And here's a look at the front three. Jason Horn, Tony Henderson is returning starter. Trent Zenkowitz. The linebackers, Matt Dyson, Jared Irons, Steve Morrison, one of the leaders up front, and Kerwin Waldrop. The backs, a talented group led by Ty Law, the quarterback, number 22, who has a string of interceptions coming into this afternoon's game.
I think Law sets the standards for all the cornerbacks in the Big Ten. Quick, bold, and very instinctive.
Little play action. Hartzell complete to Mitchell at midfield. And he'll have a gain of about 6 or 5 yards. Brought down by Morrison and number 20, Diallo Anderson.
I really think Mitchell has to touch the ball 8 or 10 times today like he did against Notre Dame. He had 13 catches, 10 for first downs against the Irish last year in that big win. He had 66 catches last year. He's 6'2", 238 pounds. And folks, I'm telling you, you are looking right now at number 82, the best tight end in the nation.
And he was brought down by his former high school teammate that time, Steve Morrison. They've talked a lot of trash, in fact, and smack about who's going to win this game, friendly stuff. And here is Mitchell again, and he has the first down at the 41-yard line. Tackled by Irons that time. Boston College looks so precise, Tim.
Well, they look very comfortable, and that's key right now. They're young, they're comfortable. You have to get Mitchell involved in this game. Here he is again with a first down. Every time he goes in motion, expect him to be in the play somehow. You mentioned he was the teammate of Brother Rice of Steve Morrison. You know that he came into this game with a little extra incentive, not because of Morrison, but because it's Michigan. The same thing he said he had the same feeling when he went against Notre Dame out in South Bend.
This time, a little counter play is unsuccessful. And Green is brought down by Zenkowitz in the backfield. Busy Saturday afternoon in college football.
Saw Virginia leading Florida State, too. I think that's going to be a good ball game. George Welsh has done a marvelous job down at Charlottesville. And with the problems Florida State's had, it's going to be I think, a good ball game this afternoon.
Florida State, Tim, without Derek Brooks, their best linebacker. Not that they don't have an entire closet full of talent down here.
How about this? That is not a misprint.
On second down and long, a flag down as Green carries it down to the 40-yard line. Tackled by Tony Henderson.
This will be the first penalty against Boston College. This will be holding.
Tim, there was a lot of talk in Chestnut Hill as to how the players would react to that man, Dan Henning. Tom Coughlin left for the NFL in Jacksonville, and the players, they say, subconsciously almost let up because Coughlin was a real taskmaster.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
To continue, Henning had more of a loose atmosphere in camp.
Yeah, Dan always has. He's been a very congenial, laid-back guy. He expects the players to be responsible enough, professional enough, to get the job done and work as hard as they possibly can. He's 52 years old, and he's been out of the college game for 20 years. There's Moeller, who's been in the college game the entire time. But, you know, that's a trend that's been set. NFL college coaches coming back, or NFL coaches coming back to college.
Here's Hartzell rolling out. Has a ton of time to throw. Can't find a receiver. And he makes a good career decision and throws it out of bounds.
Probably a better decision had he run out of bounds after he threw it. He got drilled. Zanka would put him right on his back. That's what Henning's telling him. But to make that point we were talking about a second ago about the NFL coaches getting back into college, think about that. Bill Walsh, John Robinson. You've got John Makovic, Gene Stallings. I mean, the list goes on. A lot of them have come back and had success.
Any reason as to why that seems to be becoming a trend now?
Other than the National Football League.
Guys just got to work, I guess, huh?
The NFL is almost like college now with the salary cap. Players going everywhere. You have to be a recruiter. Who's going to recruit Dion?
Boston College leading 9-0 as we approach 7 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Michigan will hold.
And defense gets into it a little bit. Zenkowitz now has made a couple of good plays in a row. He got a lot of help, too, from Morrison, 36 right there. So that'll get the crowd back in it. And that's what Boston College has to be concerned with. As much success as they've had here early, they now have to elevate their play even more.
Jeff Beckley standing on his own 34-yard line, and Amani Toomer on his 10 for Michigan. Low snap, but handled well by Beckley. And he gets up a low line drive punt that will just trickle into the end zone. Just barely missing that Coffin corner on a 52-yard effort. Well, Monday night, Dallas quarterback Troy Aikman, yes, with Craig T. Nelson and a special hour of coach. And it's the season premiere of ABC's NFL Monday Night Football as the Los Angeles Raiders meet the San Francisco 49ers live all Monday on ABC. 25 years, Tim, of Monday Night Football. Boy, Frank's been on the air a long time. He has a lot of primetime hours in, doesn't he?
A lot of frequent flyer miles, too. Hey, that should be a good ball game, the 49ers and the Raiders. I saw the Raiders a couple of weeks ago in Dallas. They've got tremendous team speed.
One of their trademarks, as usual, Foster and Davis lining up out of the eye for Michigan. Little play action. Complete to Toomer at the 28. Amani Toomer has a first down at the 33-yard line after that 13-yard pickup. Downstairs to Gary Reason.
After that last series, Gary Moeller brought his offensive linemen over here and told them they have to get playing a lot better. The most important thing that they had going wrong out there was that they were snapping the ball on an off cadence. The offensive linemen were not firing off on the ball. They have to play more together.
I tell you this, Gary, I don't think it's any secret. He's got to get into them. They've had 1 yard on 5 carries.
Reimers in motion. They set up the screen pass. Well executed. Ed Davis pushed out of bounds at the 49-yard line, but there's a flag back at the 34.
I think this is going to be critical.
Look,
It was awfully close to being a good block, but I think they're going to call clipping.
Davis was run out of bounds by Stephen Boyd, and Moeller is working one of the officials there.
Now watch this. This play is set up very, very well by Collins. Boston College, again, was coming with the outside blitz, bringing the outside linebacker. See him?
Disregard the flag. There is no foul.
Now watch. They thought that was the clip right there on 93. Did you see the flag come in? The flag was picked up, and now they say no penalty because it was a good block, and you can see that. Although I'm sure 93 Chris Sullivan will argue that point.
The nose of the ball is just a touch on Michigan's side of the field. 6:01 remaining in the first quarter. Boston College with a 9-0 lead. That's Hayes in motion to the top of your screen. And there was motion on both sides. We'll have to sort it out. Tim Morabito, the nose guard, stepped over for Boston College and made contact.
Well, it was defensive offsides.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
First down and 5. Davis just barely tripped up.
Oh, half made a nice play to trip him up, or he was gone.
Back to New York and John Saunders. John?
Mark, Washington and USC, 2nd and goal here. Rob Johnson, an 81-yard drive. Here's 6 yards to Johnny McWilliams to finish things. It's tied the game 7-7. Mark and Tim.
All right, John, you know, Tim, I really think that Rob Johnson is one of the, if not the premier quarterback in the entire country.
Boy, you talk about the quarterbacks out in the Pac-10. You got Stenstrom, you've got Southern Cal's Johnson, you just saw Oregon's Danny O'Neill, and none of them may be as good as Dave Barr.
And here's another one. Collins back to pass, has a man open, and it's incomplete at the 32. It was intended for Amani Toomer, who has been a favorite target of Collins early in the first quarter here.
This is good coverage. They're playing soft on the corner. Watch. Force him back. And they come up, and actually the ball was thrown lowly, but it was nice play. You know, the secondary's been intact since 1992. It's the most experienced group on the team. Keep the ball in front of them. That's the key.
It is 3rd down and 1 to go. Davis, I'm not sure he got it.
Half.
There's a fumble.
Half says Boston College got it. They did. Oh, what a play by Half, the linebacker.
BC comes up with the Michigan turnover. And they take over at the 44-yard line.
Boyd got the fumble. He'll get the headlines, but Half made the play. Watch number 57 if you can. The handoff is fine right here, but watch this now. There's 57 knocking it loose. And then Boyd will come in and he'll recover it. But the play really made by Half, although Boyd will get the headlines.
Davis really got rocked on that. And Boston College with the ball on its own 43-yard line with 5:09 remaining in the first quarter. Here's Green. Off tackle. Picks up about 4. Green not an incredibly fast back. He has about 4.7 speed, but he's the most experienced of the Boston returning running backs.
Dick Cutter, the quarterback coach, and also acts as a coordinator. He says some guys on the team may be faster than Green, others may catch or block better, but nobody does it all as well as this kid. He's the full package. 7 rushes so far for a total of 30 yards. He's the guy getting all the work so far. Mitchell in motion. Handed off to Green again. Trying the left side. Trying to square those shoulders and turn it up, but he couldn't get upfield. And there's a flag down at the 47. Yeah, they're going to call this on Gordon Laro for holding against Boston College. Big old number 98 is the best blocker on the team. He's 6'3", 257, but he locked on too hard that time, and it was a hold.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
Laro's going to get an earful from the head coach.
Well, they keep Laro in motion. They keep Mitchell in motion. Now watch number 98 right here on the right hand of your screen. He's already locked on Dyson 91 and actually almost tackled him. First game, I think the officials are doing a pretty good job so far. They've made some pretty tough calls.
Since that opening play of the game, Boston College really hasn't moved the ball particularly well, Tim. Second down and 17 to go. They set up the screen pass to Green. Looking for the kickout block, doesn't get it, and he's up to the 41-yard line, tackled by Jarrett Irons, a name that we've been saying quite a bit in the first quarter here.
Get back to that point you said they're not moving the ball particularly well, but what they're doing as a team is they're helping out each other. The defense has forced some turnovers. They've made some things happen, which keeps the offense on the field. And as long as Boston College's offense is on the field, Michigan can't score that offensive punch that they were so concerned about.
Elementary, Mr. Brandt. Third down and 12. That was a look at Irons, who started 10 games last year. He was their leading tackler in 1993.
Michigan coming with the blitz.
They sure are. Hartzell eluding the pressure and running himself. Gets it out to the 47. He's shy of the first down. But he eluded a pretty big loss there. What might have been a pretty big loss. Brought down by Matt Dyson.
Jarrett Irons is hurt. I tell you, everything that Gary Moeller did not want to happen in this game has happened. He didn't want to get anybody hurt, and he didn't want to turn the ball over. So far, he's done both. Plus, he's had a breakdown defensively that had a long touchdown. Jarrett Irons, 6'1", 231-pound sophomore. He's out of Conroe, Texas. He led the team in tackles last year. Only freshman to do that.
Tim, last year, you mentioned injuries. Last year, Michigan used close to 11 different linebacking combinations, which is incredible when you consider the amount of injuries that they had.
Well, and that's exactly the reason why they started 4-4 last year after such high expectations, because they had so many injuries. Watch the left hand of your screen, see if we can pick up what happened. Number 37, there he is, being held right now, but it looked like he got it from both sides. Let's hope he just got the wind knocked out of him there when he got pinched.
It didn't seem to be a leg injury.
Now, they hit him high. They hit him above the waist. Could be a rib injury. Hate to speculate. Let's just get him up and see if he can play again.
We'll get word from Gary Reasons shortly, hopefully, on the extent of Irons' injury. Meanwhile, tomorrow night, after America's Funniest Home Videos, an ABC movie special from the animation wizards of Disney. DuckTales, the movie, a network television premiere. Then Kirstie Alley and John Travolta star in Look Who's Talking 2. All tomorrow night here on ABC.
Jarrett Irons up and off. Appears to be okay.
Last year, one of the bigger losses from the linebacking core for Michigan was Steve Morrison. He missed 7 games because of a foot injury in '93.
I think Irons just had his cage rattled, his rib cage.
Beckley punting from the 35. Toomer lets it bounce, and Boston College is once again going to pin Michigan deep in its own territory at the 7 after that 46-yard punt. They're still silent here in Ann Arbor, folks. It's 9-0 for the Eagles.
9-0 Boston College. Dan Heading in his debut. His team's playing well. Special teams right now killing Michigan. You know, their average starting field position has been at the 13 for the Wolverines. This is here their possessions have gone 3 plays and a punt, 2 plays and a safety, 5 plays and a fumble.
And Michigan on its own 6. Collins, and it is ruled complete. To the short side of the field, Amani Toomer went low and got his arms underneath the ball. But now, back to the special teams.
Well, that play right now gets them back to where they should have had first down anyway. Watch this now. Toomer's the return guy. There is no reason this ball should hit the ground. He ought to be running to the ball now. 4 don'ts of the kicking game. Don't be offsides. Don't rough the kicker. Don't let the ball hit the ground, and don't clip. He had to field that ball. They lost 15 yards because it hit the ground. They're back now where they should have been had he fair caught the ball up at the 17.
And Toomer with his own bit of vindication. Handoff up the middle that time. Out to the 22-yard line is Ed Davis. Davis said coming into the game that he understands what it takes to play here at Michigan. He says he knows he's not Tyrone Wheatley, but he's more than capable of doing a good job this afternoon. I don't think people around here expect him to be Tyrone Wheatley.
You know who you're
maybe close
soon?
though.
You're going to see touchdown Tim pretty soon. Biaka Batuka, number 21, another running back. He'll be in a ball game shortly, and he is a great talent.
2 tight ends in now for Michigan. Quick 3-step drop. Collins fires a strike to Mercury Hayes, and Hayes is out to the 38-yard line and has another first down. A 14-yard pickup. Let's take a closer look at this BC defensive line and defensive unit. Mike Mamula, the leader up front, he had 11 sacks last year. The linebackers led by Stephen Boyd, who recovered that fumble. Half made that big hit. And Michael Reed is a special type of player on the corner. He is their best man-to-man coverage guy.
Although Hayes just made Reed grasp for air on that last play and missed his tackle.
1.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Collins with another quick drop, and he fires over the head of Toomer.
There's Mamula again. Mamula coming from the outside. Collinet comes at the other. You've got a guy 6'5" and another 6'6" coming at you. What that makes you do is it causes havoc and makes the quarterback adjust. Consequently, that time he had to throw high.
One of the matchups, Tim, obviously Mamula on Jenkins. Mamula getting the better of it so far.
Watch this. Here comes 59 Mamula. Look at that. Doesn't use the power move, doesn't use the swim, just uses his quickness that time.
Davis thought about going outside and bounced it inside. And he's brought down by Darrell Porter and Stephen Boyd, the middle linebacker.
You know, I think Toomer, Hayes, and Smith, the wideouts at Michigan. Well, it's obvious they're one heck of a receiving corps. I mean, they combined for 90 catches last year. But now with Smith out, Mercury Hayes has to take a bigger role, and so does Toomer.
Hayes was saying that the receivers as a group this year, along with Toomer, they are much closer than groups in past Michigan years. A lot more togetherness. 3rd down and 8 now for the Wolverines. Collins looking to pass. Underneath, it's complete, but it is about 5 yards short of the first down. Seth Smith, number 86, made the reception on the pass.
Boy, and I tell you, Boyd was right there when he did, too. One of the best linebackers in the country. He's the roommate of Pete Mitchell, 2 quality players there. Boston College's defense is playing outstanding football right now, and that's the difference. Their defense and the miscues by the special teams of Michigan.
Tim, so far, it doesn't seem as if that major weight advantage for Michigan on the offensive line has been that much of a factor.
No, Boston College quickness has negated that difference.
Nate DeLong punting, back deep, Tony Ransom. And Kenyatta Watson.
With too much time again. Michigan is not prepared.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Gary Moeller's got to be beside himself. All right, so you say, well, who's the special teams coach with Michigan? Well, Gary Moeller works with the return guys. Mike DeBoard works with the kickers. And Jim Herman works on kick coverage. So there's 3 different guys involved.
Watson on his own 23. He's going to let it bounce at the 32. And it is down to the 25-yard line. And that is the end of the first quarter play in Ann Arbor, Michigan. How do you spell surprise? It's called BC. Stay with us. Back in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I'm Mark Jones along with Tim Brandt and Gary Reasons down on the sidelines on a sunny afternoon here. The Michigan Wolverines, the hometown team, trails Boston College 9-0. And this will be the first play of the second quarter.
Jared Irons back in the ball game, so he's healthy again.
Send Mitchell in motion. Here's Green. Nice cut inside. David Green. A first down out to the 40-yard line. Running with authority and picking up 15 yards on that play.
Well, if you look at the first quarter statistics after that run by Green, you can go right down to total yards and look what happened in the first 15 minutes. 128 yards to just 69 for Michigan. Of course, there was the penalties. There was a safety. Jared Irons was shaken up. There was the fumble for Michigan that Boston College recovered, and that's been the difference in the ball game. 9-0 BC, and another Michigan player is shaken up. It looks like Henderson.
And if you joined us late, on the first play of the game, Greg Grice took in a pass from Mark Hartzell and went 74 yards for the score. There's a look at the injured player, Tony Henderson.
You know, I'm sure right now, looking at the score and looking at your players getting banged up, that you'd say I must be crazy after making this statement, but Gary Moeller is very happy this game was moved to September 3rd because it gives him a warm-up for Notre Dame. Now watch the top of your screen, 79. There he is to the top right. Just went down hard. Again, it looks like may have twisted an ankle or a knee. But Gary Moeller is happy to have this game because next week he plays Notre Dame. Can you imagine if they made these mistakes against the Irish?
It might be more than 9-0 right now if that were the case.
I don't know. Boston College has played pretty well. And BC beat the Irish last year in South Bend.
They sure did. In a memorable game, maybe one of the more exciting games of the college football season. Will Carr is in the game now for Tony Henderson at the nose guard spot. Green still the only Boston College back that has been in there today. Looking to the short side of the field, it's picked off. Steve Morrison with the interception, but there's a flag down at the 50. We'll see if it came after the pick or before the pick.
You know, the flag came late, but they may call pass interference or holding here. Defensive holding. Watch this. It is against Michigan.
Morrison displayed good hands and good touch for a linebacker the way he brought that ball in.
That flag came awfully late.
Let's get the word from the official.
Better than that, let's take a look at it.
Holding. Defense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. An automatic first down.
All right, you really don't get a good look at it there. But what they're calling that on is Winters. Left hand of your screen. Now they double team him. Hartzell waits, and when he throws it, Winters comes in from behind and holds him before the interception. The interception's clean. But they're looking at 35, the free safety Chuck Winters from behind. Defensive holding, Boston College's ball, and a huge break for BC.
Here's Green outside. You know, he looks a lot faster than 4.7 on some plays. Picked up about 7 on that one, and he was tackled by Ty Law.
He was looking for a block from Grice, number 20, but Grice didn't have the proper angle, and it was a smart move on his part, because had he taken the block that was available to him, it would have been a clip. So he just stood back and let Green get hit.
Green 9 rushes on the afternoon for a total of 52 yards. Boy, Colorado really pouring it on Northeastern Louisiana. And USC now with a field goal, taking the lead over Washington. Here's Green again, getting a lot of work. And producing much yardage, down to the 33 and a first down for the Eagles.
You know what he is? He's a hide-and-seek type runner. They'll bring him around the corner, he'll hide behind the big guys. You'll see that opening, he explodes. Then he seeks the opening and goes after it.
Out of Mount Kisco, New York, David Green, averaging 6.1 yards per carry.
Entire offense is based on 2 tight ends. It's a power formation. They're using a lot of motion to position the defense and use that motion man as a blocker to lead Green up.
Tim, is that a pro influence? Is that the pro influence, the single backs off?
Washington Redskin influence when Henning was there. Used it as a head coach with Atlanta, also with San Diego. They called it the H-back.
Grice in motion, and it's Green again. And he has a lot of real estate ahead of him. David Green down to the 15. This Boston College offensive machine just chewing up yardage. They gained 19 on that play, and they are down deep in Michigan territory at the 15-yard line. Jarrett Irons made the tackle along with Chuck Winters and Ty Law.
Boy, Mitchell threw the block on Law, but then Landry, the big guard, freed him. Watch 82. All right, that's Mitchell. He's locked on Law. Opens a corner. Then here comes 63. Cuts off the linebackers, 36 Morrison, and that opened up the whole alley into the secondary.
First down and 10. Justice Smith now seeing his first action, and he carries the ball. He's brought down after a gain of about 3. Brought down by Anderson. A very busy day of college football here on ABC, and it gets better after this. Tonight at 8 Eastern, it's the prime time grand finale of our college football doubleheader. Number 3 Notre Dame meets Northwestern, and number 13 Tennessee takes on UCLA. And don't forget to call your cable operator for the pay-per-view games available in your area. That's 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. Justice Smith, number 42, is the single back. Little counter play. Stuffed that time by Michigan.
It's all right. Boston College now has had the ability to throw long and score the touchdown. They've had a pretty solid running game on this drive, so now they really are you really have a tough time reading what they're going to do. They've shown some flexibility both ways, so that keeps the defense on its heels and the head's on a swivel. They're approaching 100 yards rushing now. They've held the ball over 10 minutes.
It's a good thing it's unseasonably cool here, or else that Michigan defense might be getting a little tired with the time they've spent on the field. Hartzell has a man at the 10. Laro brings it in, and he's brought down at the 11-yard line.
It's all right. It'll still set up the field goal. Not enough for the first. This drive, 7 plays. That was the first pass of the drive.
Laro had a tough time bringing in the ball, Tim.
Well, you don't like the catch with the helmet. Watch this. All right, the ball hits him between the 9 and the 8, but then it goes up on his shoulder pad. Then the officials say the ground knocked it loose. He had possession. He had it locked onto his shoulder pad. He used one hand and one shoulder.
Well, in comes the field goal unit, led by David Gordon. He was 7-11 last year. This one coming from 28 yards out of the hold of Jeff Ryan. And it is good.
How do you do?
Well, if you had your doubts about Boston College being competitive, you can forget it now. It's 12-0 in the second quarter. Well, the Michigan band is playing, but they really haven't had a lot to play about.
This isn't a team picture. They're trying to get squared away, finding themselves down here in the ballgame 12-0. They may not be so happy that they rescheduled this game for September 3rd as a warm-up for Notre Dame.
Jeff Beckley will kick it off, and number 86 is Seth Smith for Michigan. Standing on his 10, along with Mercury Hayes. Well, the clouds have passed, but things looking very ominous still for Michigan here in the second quarter with 10:48 to play. Beckley with a strong leg, 5 yards deep in the end zone is Seth Smith, who says, I think we'll start on the 20.
Boston College came into this game as a 2-touchdown underdog. Michigan heavily favored. But right now, as the Michigan offense comes on the field, 9 carries at 11 yards. They're averaging 1.2 yards per carry. BC's defense has been sensational thus far.
And just in case you've been in another galaxy or been on another planet during the last couple of weeks, Tyrone Wheatley is not playing in this game. He suffered a separated shoulder in practice about 10 days ago. Shea Foster and Ed Davis in the backfield, lining up out of the offset eye. This is Ed Davis, tackled at the 13-yard line by Stephen Boyd. Boyd at 6'1", 235, a junior. First team All-Big East last year. 161 tackles.
I'll tell you what he does so well. He gets rid of blocks, and he has no false steps, gets right to the football, plays it inside out. He's got great instincts, and he is one tough linebacker. You know, we thought this would be a huge difference. Well, it is in weight. Michigan offensive line has the advantage, but so far, Boston College has been very, very quick. They've shut down every gap.
Collins going up top for Toomer. Is it caught?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Toomer at the 50-yard line picks up 31 yards and a first down on a pass, Tim, that really wasn't that good a ball, was it?
It was a great pass. I'll tell you why. He was being hit. They came with outside pressure. He stepped up and delivered the ball, and that hit took something off the pass, but he threw it to an open area and let Toomer go to it. Now watch Toomer. Here comes the ball to the open area. He goes back for the football and meets it before the safety, Wiggins, can get there. Collins, under a lot of pressure, was hit when he delivered it and threw it to an open area. That's a big-time play. Watch this. There's the hit. He throws to an open area. Huge play for Michigan.
Collins will tell you he planned it that way. Here's Davis hurdling one tackler, but being brought down behind the line of scrimmage at the 46 by Chris Sullivan, and who else? Stephen Boyd.
You know, Toomer had 29 receptions last year, 4 touchdowns, but more importantly, he had an average of 20 yards per catch. He is explosive, and he goes and finds the football and can separate from defenders.
Tim, you talk about separation. There was a time when Big Ten receivers, in particular Michigan receivers, weren't quite known for their speed, but the evolution of the passing game here at Michigan has really taken the speed to the nth degree, and Toomer is a good example of that. 3 wide receivers in for the Wolverines. Play action. Collins looking for more. Had Davis wide open, but overthrew it.
Well, again, he had pressure from the backside. Morabito actually had a hand on him as he was delivering the ball. Eagles getting tremendous pressure. Now, Morabito, 58, is the nose guard, but watch, they're playing a little game there. He works to the outside. Now he's on the left hand of your screen. Watch, gets a hand on him and pushes him as he delivers the pass.
No doubt it affected Collins' delivery. 3rd down and 15 now. Just under 9 minutes to play here in the first half. Boston College leading by a dozen, 12-0. Michigan is over 3 in 3rd down conversion situations. 4 receivers out, and they find one. Mercury Hayes with a first down to the 33. A 21-yard pickup and a dart that time thrown by Collins. Wiggins in on the stop for Boston College.
I tell you, Collins is big time. But watch Hayes now working against a soft zone. Takes it back into the hook area, and Collins drills it. You know why? Because they gave him plenty of time to throw. He had no pressure that time, stepped up and delivered it.
Battle of 2 quarterbacks today, both from the state of Massachusetts. And right now, it is the younger one winning. But Collins trying to bring his team back on the waggle here. Looking for Riemersma, and he catches it at the 33.
Talk about the 2 quarterbacks from Massachusetts. Hartzell of BC and Collins from Michigan. They played against each other before in high school in the Super Bowl. Collins won 7-6. Hartzell said he learned a lot from watching Collins play that day. But right now, it's Hartzell that has the advantage.
Second down. You know, Collins, Tim, has shown a lot of mobility outside of the pocket, rolling deep both sides of the field. There's a look at Hartzell. 2 tight ends in now for Michigan. Collins again under heavy pressure. Delivers a pass complete down to the 28. That was Hayes.
This is what Boston College did not want to happen. Collins now is in a rhythm. He's 9 for 12, 116 yards. Now watch the pressure from Boston College. This time they don't come with the games. They just come with a straight upfield pressure and the outside blitz from the outside linebackers or defensive ends in that scheme that time. But Collins has found a rhythm, and there are the numbers on it.
Last season, he set single-season records, school records, in attempts and completions. He'll be one of the best in the Michigan record books by the time he leaves. Backside of the eye this time. They go to the deep back, Davis, and he's brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Stephen Boyd. Man, he's been impressive this afternoon.
He really is. You know, he was the leading tackler last year. I said he's one of the best linebackers in the country. He should be All-American this year. He gets to the ball as fast as anybody I've seen since Gary Reasons. Gary, I hope you heard that down there. No, he really is a quality player. Just runs to the football, plays everything inside out. He's so fundamentally sound.
Michigan, Tim, is going to go for it here on 4th down.
This isn't a gimme either. This is 4th and long.
Collins. Complete. And it's a first down, Wolverines at the 20-yard line. Riemersma, the tight end, hauled in the big pass.
You know, if Riemersma had not injured his rotator cuff, he might be backing up Collins at quarterback. He was just moved to tight end in spring football. And he has responded well. He's made the biggest catch here so far for Michigan this afternoon. Again, Collins with plenty of time. He gets the ball to 16 Remersma. He's got the first down. Michigan's back in this thing.
6 minutes to play here in the first half. They trail 12-0. But first down and 10. Here's Davis. Davis still on his feet, churning up the middle, and he has a gain of about 7. Ed Davis, the man filling in for Tyrone Wheatley, who has that separated shoulder. They hope to have him back in a couple of weeks.
Hey, since I'm not, make sure everybody understands, when I say they're back in it, I don't mean they were out of it score-wise, but they weren't into this game mentally. They're back into it mentally. They found a rhythm. The offense is starting to move now. They're using the pass, mixing and matching passes and running.
This is the 11th play, Tim, of this Michigan drive.
Little movement up front. That'll be against the defense, too, I believe.
There was contact made, so the whistle was blown.
Boston College is saying they were drawn off. But this is going to be against BC.
Dead ball. Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty.
A look at the avuncular Dan Henning. Really a likable guy. Had a great time visiting with him yesterday.
Spent 20 years in the National Football League. Outstanding offensive mind. Loves to throw the ball. Soft-spoken, congenial guy.
First and goal now for the Wolverines. Their deepest penetration of the day, the counter, Ed Davis. Davis brought down to the 7. Nice tackle that time.
Mamula.
Mike Mamula.
You know, in this drive, we talked about Collins finding a rhythm. He's 5 for 6 in this drive, 67 yards.
The coaches feel that Collins' biggest asset, Tim, is his quick mind. They say that he thinks like a coach out there.
Yeah, they say he's a smart kid on the field. Gary Moeller says he's underrated. He said a couple times last year he held onto the ball too much, took sacks that he probably shouldn't have. So that's the one thing you can improve upon. And
3 tight ends in. Davis has a hole. Touchdown, Michigan. Very impressive 12-play, 80-yard drive for the Wolverines, using up 6:27 on the clock. And Eric Lavelle in for the extra point. It is up. It is good. And a sigh of relief from over 105,000 people who get some relief from this man, Ed Davis, with a gaping hole and taking it to pay dirt. Well, the Big Mo is back in Michigan's hands right now. And I'm not talking about Gary Moeller, the head coach. Talking about momentum. Gary, what's going on down there?
Not only did Todd Collins have a great series that time, Michigan put in their jumbo package, a 3 tight end offense, similar to what Dan Henning does, gave them the momentum they had. Their size is starting to take over on this Boston College defense.
All right, Gary, we saw the numbers up front, Tim, and there is a huge discrepancy in the weights between the Michigan offensive line and the Boston College defensive line.
They had a nice balance on that drive, too. 89 yards rushing, 93 passing for the game thus far. But on that drive, it was a nice balance where they mixed their plays and just kept things going.
Remy Hamilton's kick is not a particularly deep one, but it's loose. Who's got it? It appeared that Boston College got it, and now they're saying that Michigan got the ball.
There's no question, momentum has changed. And for the first time, you're starting to see some emotion from Michigan, and the special teams comes up with a big play.
Tim, is that poor special teams work by Boston College? They seemed a little lax in jumping on the ball.
Well, again, the kicking game, you never want the ball to hit the ground. That was number 1. Once it goes 10 yards, it's anybody's football. So you've got to get on it right now. There has to be a huge sense of urgency.
Dion Johnson, number 28 for Michigan, wrested the ball loose from the hands of the Boston College player. And now Michigan is in great field position with the ball on the 20-yard line, deep in Boston College territory. With a play action, Collins with plenty of time, and he's picked off. He threw it up, and Eric Shorter took it down and takes it back for Boston College.
I cannot believe he threw that pass. He looked at him the whole time. Short of the strong safety was right there, and he threw it almost to him. Collins that time tried to force the pass, and that's very unusual for him. This is totally uncharacteristic. Look, he's looking. He sees number 6 Shorter and then throws it right to him. Shorter used the sidelines behind him. He came in front of him and made the pick. This is nicely done. Watch him use the sideline. Receiver behind him, in front, get it at his highest point. Interception, turnover, Michigan. Collins knows that was a horrendous pass.
Boston College breathing a sigh of relief there. They have the ball on the 8-yard line. Hartzell hands it off to Green, who's tripped up and brought down at the 11-yard line.
That's a huge play by that guy, Eric Shorter, number 6. He was a walk-on, and he's become a big-time player. He graduated last May with a degree in political science. He's working for his master's. What a great success story. A walk-on, earned his scholarship. He's already graduated. That's a terrific story and a big play.
We talked about the secondary earlier, Tim, and familiarity really breeds success in their case. They've been together for 3 seasons now. About 3.5 minutes to play in the first half. It's 12-7, Boston College leading. Whistles and flags on the play.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, well, what could have or would have been.
I believe they're going to call delay of game, but it was awfully close. Oh, do you believe that? It was awfully close. That ball was snapped as the whistle blew. And Hartzell threw the long pass and hit Cannon behind the secondary.
If it's close, I'm not sure you're going to get those calls in Ann Arbor if you're the visiting team.
Oh, my.
So it'll be second down and 15 now. And the fans are into this game now for Michigan.
See what kind of composure the young sophomore has now at quarterback.
They hand it off safely to Green, and Green is out to the 12-yard line, picks up 7 yards. It'll be third down and 8 now.
It's a nice-looking running back, isn't he? He's 5'11", 193 pounds.
Tim, so many people seem to get caught up in 40 times. You look at the stat sheet and you see David Green, 4.7 speed. You don't think of a fast back, but it's not always the determining factor for success.
No, but how do you measure quickness? That's the key. See, if he runs a 40, that's something to go on and something to base some numbers on, but quickness is what you really need. Green has shown that. He's elevated his play. Remember, he had that costly fumble in the loss to West Virginia, and he's taken his play up ever since.
Wide open, Hartzell finds his man, and it's a first down and then some. Watson out to the 35-yard line, and Boston College with a huge first down right there as we approach 2 minutes to play now in the first half. A 22-yard pickup, and Watson finally brought down by Chuck Winters and Kerwin Waldron.
Watson, I presume, he works free here. He's the speed guy at wide receiver. You talk about speed and quickness. He has it. Look at this move. You kidding me? That was nicely done. He's got quickness, and you ask the coach and say, oh, yeah, he's faster than Gossip. He's quicker than Gossip. That's pretty quick.
First down and 10. 2 minutes to play now. Hartzell steps back and calls a timeout. So with a timeout on the field, we'll call a timeout too. 12-7, BC leading. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, John Saunders will have scores and highlights from all of today's action, plus writers from Sports Illustrated, the Boston Globe, and USA Today debate over who is #1 in college football. And for your interest, folks, we will be using the Bull Coalition poll here this year on ABC. A combination of the coaches and the writers poll. Next week, Tim Brandt and I are down in Gainesville, Florida, as we get a look at the Kentucky Wildcats and the Florida Gators.
Kentucky with a big game tonight against Louisville. A lot of people think that the Florida Gators are the best team in the country.
Speaking of number one, that's Green out to the 38-yard line. He'll be about 5 yards shy of the first down, brought up by Jarrett Irons making the tackle.
All right, let's look at the clock now. 1:43 to go. Boston College with 2 timeouts.
Hartzell, Mitchell. And where do they place the ball? That will be important.
Well, I think they're going to give him the right foot. They should have enough for the first down. The clock will stop while they move the chains. Boston College now trying to move the football. They just don't want to force any turnovers here. You've got to hold on to the ball, use the clock as best you can, and they're doing a nice job of that right now.
Plenty of time, Tim, with 1:34. Hartzell, under pressure, steps up, and Green drops it. And the clock stops with 1:27 to play now in the first half.
Hartzell did a nice job that time of stepping up in the pocket away from the outside pressure that came from Dyson and threw the ball to Green. Green should have made the catch.
At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be selecting a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. And for the 24th year through the Chevrolet Scholarship Program, $1,000 will be donated to the General Scholarship Fund of each school.
Hartzell now 7 for 11, 122 yards. Touchdown.
Showing poise, too. Mitchell in motion. Oh, and it's almost intercepted. Batted down that time nicely by Jason Horn. Number 94. Horn, who started 7 games last year, making a nice play.
See Hartzell in his first start. It's a dangerous pass with the defenders coming at you like that. And of course, Dyson's a tall guy at 6'5", so again, you've got to find the lane around him. You can't throw over him. They had set up a flanker screen. It was nicely set up.
So one of the concerns for Michigan coming into the game, and for the season, in fact, is them being able to establish a proficient pass rush. They need to get some pressure on the quarterback. Here's Hartzell throwing to the sideline, and it's dropped again by Green.
Another catch Green should have had. He's got to make those catches if they expect to beat a team like Michigan.
Deion Johnson was right there. That stops the clock with 1:20 to go.
You know, Boston College has played very, very well in big, loud places before. They BC won at Syracuse, the Carrier Dome. You know, that's as big and loud as you're going to find. It's deafening in there.
Won at Penn State.
And they respond to that.
I won at Penn State a couple of years ago.
South Bend isn't that big, but I'll tell you what, they get loud out there at Notre Dame. They won there last year.
Henning watching as Beckley comes into punt. Toomer standing on the 20. This time, Tim, he didn't let it bounce, and he fields it. He eludes 3 tacklers and is wrestled down at the 23 this time. A 38-yard punt by Beckley and a 5-yard return by Toomer. A tough 5-yard return. Tackled by Darryl Porter.
Michigan started out so slowly, was in almost a daze, was in a funk. Then they found life, and Collins came alive, and all of a sudden there was emotion in the stadium. Things started to pick up. They scored a touchdown. It's 12-7, but now the crowd is going quiet again. Collins threw the pick the last time he was on the field. It's kind of like they're just walking around again, just taking things easy. See if Collins can get a drive going here with 1:10 remaining and 2 timeouts.
Biaka Batuka is in the game now, the tailback, along with Shea Foster. Flags down. It'll be offside against Boston College as Biaka Batuka takes it up near the 30-yard line. He picks up about 7 yards. Tackled by Mamula.
I wonder if Collins has an unrhythmic cadence that's forcing them to come off sides. That's the 3rd time the defense has jumped across. Hey, Gary, can you tell whether it's a non-rhythmic cadence that Collins has that's causing these offsides?
It's exactly what Collins is doing. He's jerking his head just a little bit, but the cadence is non-rhythmic. That's what they had a problem early on in the ball game. The Michigan offensive line has settled down on that, and it's going to their advantage right now against Boston College.
Boy, Gary, as a defensive player, you know it takes so much discipline not to jump when you've got quarterbacks that do that stuff.
It's amazing, though. The guys are right up front. The ball's right in front of them. Nevertheless, they still go on at quarterback's cadence.
Yeah. All right.
Boy, it's important for Boston College not jumping offside, too. And that time they made the infraction up front. They've got a junior another junior, and a sophomore, so you would think that they would be experienced enough to hold back.
It's a fine line, though, between being disciplined enough to stay there and being aggressive and anticipate the count.
Bianca Batuka is brought down immediately at the 25-yard line. May have got back to the 26 by Mike Mabula and Chris Sullivan. Clock running now and is stopped with 43 seconds to play as Michigan calls a timeout.
They'll have one left.
12-7, BC still leading in Ann Arbor. Michigan with the ball deep in its own territory. They trail 12-7. I'm Mark Jones along with Gary Reasons and Tim Brandt here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Very surprising day so far in Ann Arbor. And next Saturday on ABC's College Football, the Trojans of USC invade Penn State. Ohio State takes on Washington, Kentucky, and Florida. #1 Florida, that's where Tim and I will be. Louisville takes on #20 Texas. And BYU takes on Air Force in the Wild Wacky Conference. They like to throw it out there. Texas, Tim, playing without its two top receivers, Lavelle Pigney and Michael Adams.
Yeah. Suspended from the team. 43 seconds Michigan has to work with, which is plenty of time. Also have a timeout, but not that way.
Bianca Batuka, he's got some speed and he's got some room. Steps out of bounds at the 44-yard line. Check that, making the 47-yard line after picking up 27 yards. We have 35 seconds to go on the clock.
Well, we talked about him earlier in the game before he got in. They called him Touchdown Tim. 5 touchdowns in 1993 as a freshman. He averages 5 yards a carry. Look at his quickness now. He'll bounce outside, knows he's got to get to the sideline to stop the clock. If he can't take it the distance, and shows pretty good composure here. Here's a guy studying kinesiology. He's majoring in movement science.
He takes those courses that are hard to pronounce, huh?
Yeah, movement science, but he just showed some movement there and dropped some science on him.
Oh, he
on the
sure
defense.
did. And speaking of...
Third second.
Boston College now takes a timeout, so BC will have one left with 35 seconds left.
Tim, the word around here is that in the time that it takes you to say Bianca Batuka, he can run about 30 yards.
Absolutely, he's exciting. That's why Tyrone Wheatley is certainly one of the nation's best football players, and he's out with that bad shoulder. But I'm not sure Michigan really loses a whole lot. It's almost like the Barry Sanders playing behind Thurman Thomas situation. A university like Michigan has so much talent stockpiled. They've had such great recruiting classes. You get guys like Ed Davis, Bianca Batuka, and then Chris Floyd. Here's a look at Wheatley, who I think is probably the best running back in the country. Had a chance to go to the NFL last year. Controversial. Chose education over cash, and there was a lot of cash. Same thing Walter Smith did. He could have gone pro, and both of them now on the sidelines injured.
The bad thing, an unfortunate thing for Smith, is that he won't get a chance to play this year, whereas Wheatley will. Bianca Batuka from Longueuil, Quebec, and Vanier College.
And I know a lot of people are talking about why are you hitting your star running back Wheatley in a practice session and hitting full tilt. And I know Gary Reasons and I disagree on this. I think in college you do go full tilt, you do scrimmage, you let everybody play. In the pros there's more discipline and you stay away from the quarterbacks and the skilled folks.
And Wheatley had said that he wanted the contact in spring drills. Unfortunately, he got the wrong kind. Smith in motion for Michigan. Collins over the middle, wide open. Toomer could score. Touchdown, Michigan. Toomer goes 46 yards for the score.
Want to see how he did it? Watch this. Kamara's number 5. He's playing in the zone. Toomer takes him inside, gets behind him, now gets past the 2 deep guys. Wiggins, the safety, and then here just power football and poor tackling by BC for the touchdown.
Tim, we talked about Toomer's speed, but it seemed like he ran a nice pattern. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he found the open area, but he identified the defense. He knew it was a 2 deep under zone. Found the area, knew there were 2 guys to beat. He did. Poor tackling on Boston College's part down inside the 10. But now Toomer with 4 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown.
And one more look at the work here of Collins and Amani Toomer.
See the zone, see the defense sitting back there. Collins recognizes it, Toomer does. He finds the open area, gets to it, separates from the defenders. Now watch this, this is just poor tackling. If you don't wrap, you don't take them down. It's as simple as that.
Do you think Todd Collins liked it, folks? Affirmative.
I want to know Darryl Porter, the cornerback, was doing back there. It's almost like he just pushed Toomer into the end zone rather than wrapping the arms and taking him down.
And the Michigan fans now have awakened from their stupor.
Their first lead of 1994.
And it comes with 25 seconds remaining in the first half. It's 14-12. Another sea of maize and blue. Look at that, over 105,000 people. Now you might be wondering, the capacity of this stadium is a little over 102,000, but the extra 3,000 comes from the additional media types and caretakers.
Comes from the number of players Michigan dresses.
That too. Boston College this time wisely wraps up the kickoff. Last time, if you remember, they lost possession. Well, earlier, before the game, Gary Reasons was fortunate enough to be granted a rare interview by Tyrone Wheatley. And here's what Tyrone had to say.
And about the shoulder, it's doing pretty good. I get an x-ray next Tuesday, and we just go from there.
Well, I hope things turn out well for you. What do you think about your chances of getting back? You think a couple of weeks?
A couple of weeks, yeah. You know, I'm not going to make anything definite. I'm going to, you know, secure anything. So I just said a couple of weeks.
See, and that's significant in the fact that next week Michigan plays Notre Dame. So Tyrone will not be back for that. Then they have an off week, and then they play Colorado. So that's the game now it looks like they're targeting. That'll be 24th.
You would think that if they can get through those first 3 games with a record of 2-1, they would be in good stead heading into their Big Ten schedule, their Big Ten part of the program. The defense coming up big now for Michigan.
Boston College just has to regroup now. Don't even run another play. Just get inside the house and talk this thing over. Go into the clubhouse, the locker room, sit down, regroup, talk about the things they did well.
Well, Dan Henning has just had his first 30 minutes of college football as a head coach at Boston College. I think he'd probably say it wasn't too bad. And a reminder, coming up at halftime, Prudential Halftime Report with John Saunders. From here, it's 14-12.
College Football Today presents the Prudential Halftime Report. Brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind, it comes with every piece of the rock. From our New York studios, John Saunders.
Michigan with a scare in the first half. They lead it by 2 over Boston College, but they trailed throughout most of that half. The second half is straight ahead. Right now, let's check scores and highlights elsewhere. We'll start off with the defending national champions leading Virginia right now 20-3. That game has not yet gone to halftime. Danny Cannell, Charlie Ward's replacement, pretty good first half. Here he hooks up with Billy Glenn as he rolls to his left and lofts it to the end zone. And Florida State led 13-3. Right now it's 20-3. Also has touchdown passes to Warwick Dunn and Kez McCorvey. Georgia Southern and Miami as the Hurricanes look to continue their home winning ways. Larry Jones will punch this one in from 5 yards out as Miami's up against a team from Division I AA. And this time around, not much problems. Last meeting was a little more difficult. Right now, a 14-0 lead. Looking to make it 58 straight at home. That is the record they last lost in 1985 to Florida. Colorado blowing out Northeast Louisiana. 48-13 is the final there. Rashawn Salam with a good game. 24 carries, 184 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Cordell Stewart also had a big game, throwing and rushing as well. Alabama up against Tennessee Chattanooga. Sherman Williams, a 32-yard touchdown run. 7th straight season where they have scored on their opening drive, and Alabama has the lead right now, 7-0. Elsewhere, Washington against USC in the Pac-10. Washington's supposed to be a down year. Doesn't look that way at halftime. 14-10, they have the lead over USC. John Robinson, his second year back at USC in a second stint. And Damon Heward, 13-yard run here. Watch him roll out of tackles. He looks trapped. but this will set up a touchdown of a 1-yard run, and Washington takes the lead 14-10 at halftime over USC. Napoleon Kaufman at halftime 89 yards already. Virginia Tech over Arkansas State right now 21-7 is the score there. Maurice DeShazo, 3-yard touchdown run. He also has 2 touchdown passes. We have 2 more games for you tonight here on ABC starting at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and right now we have previews. First in Pasadena, Keith Jackson.
Well, John, I think here in the Rose Bowl, we're going to have a very good football game, a high-profile intersectional match between the UCLA Bruins and the Volunteers of Tennessee. The Pac-10 looks like it's going to be the kind of conference everybody thought it would be, tough from top to bottom because they're off to a good start in this first weekend. UCLA offers up one of the top individual stars in the country, and J.J. Stokes, the wide receiver. Tennessee comes in with one of the better offensive lines. We think it's going to be a heck of a football game. The Bruins and the Volunteers. In Chicago, meantime, the Irish having a go with Northwestern. Here's Brent Musburger to tell you about that.
Keith, Soldier Field, that's the site for tonight's showdown between Notre Dame and Northwestern. Everybody's getting ready. High atop the Sears Tower, the pilot of the blimp, he is busy plotting his course. Dick Vermeil, you were down in South Bend. You saw the Notre Dame quarterback phenom, Ron Powlus. What about him?
Well, he's a real talent, no question. But right now, I think if he is going to have a problem early in his career, it's going to be a consistency one. You watch him throw, he throws a beautiful strike. The next 2, he'll throw incomplete. Passes he should have been able to complete.
I tell you, next time they better give me better pictures. I think everybody's ready. Let's go to John Saunders in New York.
All right, guys, and get Jack Root back down on the field. Tonight on ESPN, Oklahoma and Syracuse, and Notre Dame Northwestern, that game we talked about right here on ABC. Also, Tennessee and UCLA here on ABC at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Teams that are idle this week, how about Nebraska? First 2 weeks of the season, they don't play on a Saturday. The first game was a Sunday. This one is on a Thursday. Let's continue now with some scores, and we'll talk about a Robert Morris team playing their first ever college football game. Joe Walton, the former Jets coach, is their head coach in Division I AA. 24-19 is the final in the game. Jake Newman, 3 touchdown passes to Robert Frazier. New Mexico and Texas Tech. This one, a wild one, 37-24. Texas Tech now has the lead. Alton Crane has 2 touchdown runs. UTEP getting beaten up pretty good by Wyoming in the WAC. 36-6 is the score there. John Gustin has 3 touchdown passes. Also in the WAC, you can see Air Force next week here on ABC. 34-21, Colorado State has the lead. Anthony Hill has a touchdown run and a 47-yard touchdown pass. Iowa State again loses to Northern Iowa for their 2nd consecutive meeting, 28-14. Jeff Stovall, 1 touchdown rush and 1 receiving as well. Central Michigan, no match for Iowa. 52-21 is the final there. Kent Call has 3 touchdowns rushing in the game, 2 from 5 and 1 from 2. Arkansas and SMU, 14-0. The Razorbacks with the lead in the second quarter now. Oscar Malone has a 31-yard touchdown run. Marius Johnson, 21 yards. When we return on the Prudential Halftime Report, the debate continues. Who is the #1 team in the nation? 3 very different opinions. And we continue with more of the Prudential Halftime Report here on ABC. Welcome back once again to the Prudential Halftime Report. In New York, I'm John Saunders. Let's move along now with scores and highlights. We'll start with Auburn, a team that did not appear on television last year, but Terry Bowden was a perfect 11-0. Get some help here early. Quarterback Patrick Nix, 26 yards to Jesse McCovery. Daylight to the end zone, 14-3 Auburn. Then the defense goes to work. Mark Smith is hit and hit hard and several times back into the end zone. Del McGee gets him for the safety, 16-3. Then for Auburn on the offense again, running back Stephen Davis goes 4 yards, 22-10 the score at that point, 22-17 the final. Terry Bowden wins. He's now 12-0 as a Division 1A coach. Stephen Davis, 33 carries, 158 yards and a touchdown. Pitt loses to Texas, 30-28 was the final. They had a chance to tie with a 2-point conversion late, but they did not get it. Curtis Martin in a losing cause, 28 carries, 251 yards and a touchdown. Clemson over Furman, 27-6. Emery Smith, that's Emmett's younger brother, with 2 touchdown runs of 3 and 2 yards, 10 carries, 59 yards. But the story of the day may have been in the Maryland-Duke game. That's Robert Baldwin, 11 yards for the touchdown, 35-9, as Maryland's defense continues to give up the yardage for the 2nd year in a row. And then Robert Baldwin here, 34 yards for the touchdown, 42-16 was the score at this point. They had another. 49-16 was the final. Spence Fisher, 2 touchdown passes. Fred Goldsmith wins his debut. And Baldwin, 33 carries for 238 yards. That's a school one-game record and 4 rushing touchdowns. Also caught 5 passes as well. Indiana 28-3 over Cincinnati. Alex Smith, 23 carries, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns. West Virginia wins over Ball State. The story here, the regular kicker missed 2 field goals, so they bring in a true freshman, Brian Bauman, who knocked through the field goal with just seconds left to win the game. And Western Michigan in the MAC over Miami of Ohio, 28-25 for Western Michigan and Broncos. Jay McDonough, 4 touchdown passes, 24-40 for 328 yards. The season is only a couple of weeks old, and already we have a huge debate over who is the #1 team in the nation. Take a look at these 5 polls, and you have 5 different teams that could be #1, 5 differing opinions. So joining us now from Ann Arbor, where later today, Boston College will take on Michigan. We have 3 gentlemen with 3 different opinions. Tim Layden of Sports Illustrated, who thinks Arizona is #1. Mike Lopresti of USA Today, who thinks Florida is #1. And Mark Blauchen of the Boston Globe, who says Nebraska is #1. We'll start off with you, Tim, because most recently we saw Arizona look pretty poor against a Georgia Tech team that everyone thought they would roll over. Do you still believe this is the #1 team in the nation?
Sure, I do, John. Actually, I think that was a good game for Arizona. They've had their egos massaged for 8 months since beating Miami in the Fiesta Bowl last year, and having us pick them #1, and I think that going into a hostile environment against a young team with nothing to lose and the whole country watching, I think that's a good start for them, and they'll get better.
Mike, you have a guy next to you now who's apologizing for a team that really just didn't look very good on Thursday night. What do you have to say in your support of Florida?
Well, first of all, if Arizona is #1, then Georgia Tech must be #2. With Florida, as the polls show, there are half a dozen teams out there that can make an argument for #1. When in doubt, I think you go with the team that is best set at the most important position on the field, and that's quarterback. Florida has 2 very good quarterbacks. Danny Werfel threw 22 touchdown passes last year. SEC Freshman of the Year, can't even start this year. That'll be Terry Dean. I think I go with Florida right now because they have the quarterback, they have the offensive system under Steve Spurrier.
Mark, the guys sitting next to you are probably shocked that you are picking Nebraska after your reputation over the years of going against this team. Have you just taken a lot of phone calls and now you're finally on the way?
A lot of heat and a lot of incredulous looks from people, but I decided that, you know, like the Buffalo Bills, I think they deserve a chance to get back there, and I think they will be. And if I look at the 2 guys next to me and the teams they picked, I feel even more confident than ever.
I mean, you guys have a reason for each team you're picking, but you're going to get plenty of argument. People that say Florida State is still the #1 team.
Well, first of all, half the state of Nebraska just passed out here, and Mark Blauchen picked the Cornhuskers. Florida, as I said before, you can make a case for half a dozen teams there. Certainly Florida State has the talent, has the ability. You're looking for fine hairs here, and what I look for, once again, going back to Florida, is I think they have the quarterback situation in very, very good hands.
I think, John, that with both Florida and Nebraska, I think you're looking at 2 programs. Florida has been a coming program under Spurrier, but they've yet to show anybody that they can win a big regular season game, much less a bowl game. And Nebraska has a well-earned reputation, even though they played well in the Orange Bowl last year, for being unable to punch it through at the end of the season when it's necessary. I think Arizona is a team that's on the way up, and they're coming under the national spotlight for the first time. And I think by the end of the year, you'll see a team that can win that game.
Arizona's won a lot of regular season games, haven't they, Tim?
And I think with Florida's case, I think it did show last year, at the end of last season, they could win big games. Certainly the SEC championship game would qualify as a big game, and it didn't look too bad in the Sugar Bowl what it did to West Virginia.
But they can't win on the road. I mean, they haven't proven they can win a regular season game on the road of proportions. They got to play at Tennessee and at Florida State.
All right, guys, we love to see the argument. We'd love to see it go on, and it likely will for the rest of the season. Who is #1? We will find out as the season unfolds. And a reminder, at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight, the second half of our doubleheader comes your way. At halftime of that game, you'll have a chance to listen to a conversation I recently had with Bobby Bowden in Tallahassee.
We're at the mercy of the world. Anybody could walk on my campus, hand one of my boys $100. He might be for the enemy. We've had that happen here before, by the way.
Back in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the corner of South Main Street and East Stadium, I'm Mark Jones, along with Tim Brandt and Gary Reasons. Michigan leading Boston College 14-12. And, you know, these 2 teams have only met one other time. That was back in 1991. And Boston College led at halftime in that game by a score of 10-7. But, and a big but, there was a number 21 in maize and blue that played for Michigan. His name, Desmond Howard. And here's what happened at the beginning of the second half. Desmond Howard takes the kickoff and goes the distance. This was one of his 4 touchdowns on the day, and the important thing to note is that this game really propelled him into the Heisman Trophy spotlight, which he eventually won, striking that all too familiar pose on many of his touchdowns.
Well, Dan Henning's hoping that's not what's going to happen in the second half of this ball game. As a matter of fact, his club has played quite well, down just by 2 points, and it was Boston College that got that early start. We talked about having positive things happen early. Hartzell came out, his first collegiate start, his first pass, his first play from scrimmage. And look, down deep he finds Greg Grice. Now here's a receiver who his first 2 college receptions were for touchdowns. So Hartzell 1 for 1 in the touchdown, Grice 74 yards, and an early 7-0 lead for BC.
Tim, Michigan really slept through the first 5 or 7 minutes of the game, but then they woke up on this play.
Watch Ed Davis. Now here's a guy that had 441 yards last year. He was a red shirt in 91, 201 pounds, used it all there and busted into the end zone. And that seemed to wake up the Wolverines.
And then Amani Toomer, a dangerous deep threat.
Yeah, but you watch, this was a big play that really has Dan Henning upset because Boston College should have made the tackle down deep. Watch this, Pryor, boom, right there. Misses the tackle, he's got to wrap him up, he didn't. Touchdown, and now Boston College trails 14-12.
Toomer already with over 100 yards receiving. And that touchdown really kind of took a little momentum out of Boston College. It'll be interesting to see if they can recover here early in the third quarter. And Gary Reasons, our man down on the field, asked Dan Henning, the Boston College head coach, about the first half of play. Here's what he had to say.
Coach Henning, things are going very well early on in the first half. The big momentum swing here at the end of the first half. What are your thoughts for the second half?
Well, it's one drive, 2 big plays there in the one drive. We had a missed tackle down there. I think that this game will go on for a while. We'll see what happens in the third and fourth quarter.
That missed tackle he's talking about, it was the one that Porter had inside the 10-yard line that we just talked about during the highlights. The other one, of course, was Bianca Butuka, the running back. Broke loose, got to the outside, carried it all the way down into near midfield before he went out of bounds and stopped the clock. Very smart play by the young sophomore who got in just at the end of the first half.
Let's take a look at the first half numbers. You go down the 2 columns, things even.
Can it get any more even than that, 216 to 216?
The difference in turnovers, Michigan with 2, Boston College with 1, and time of possession also about equal.
You know, you look at those and you look at the turnovers that you talked about. That's one thing that man, Gary Moeller, wanted to do away with. He didn't want any turnovers. He told us yesterday his team had to protect the ball and they had to stay healthy. They had a couple of guys get banged up in the first half, and they're playing with that Smith and Wheatley. Then, of course, there's Dan. He's got to come back now, and he's got to disrupt and confuse a little bit, stop that passing game.
Let's go downstairs to Gary Reasons, who has this on Gary Moeller.
I just spoke to Gary Moeller coming out of the locker room, and he looked like his team was ready to go. They said they had to focus more on stopping Boston College's big plays, and he thought that his quarterback, Todd Collins, was starting to settle down for the second half.
It's interesting that Moeller mentioned big plays because you just heard Dan Henning say it was the big play that killed Boston College.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. But, you know, early on, Boston College had a lot of pressure on Collins. And consequently, they had him out of a rhythm. He couldn't get a rhythm, and he didn't have any tempo. And they've got to get that back. They lost that a little bit, and he started throwing the ball pretty well.
Tim, what about some of the keys here in the second half of play? What are the important things that have to happen?
Well, Boston College has to stop Michigan passing game. You know, we saw the big plays that they got there at the end of the first half. They've got to stop that. They've got to get back to the pressure they had early. And again, offensively, Michigan has to stay healthy and protect the football. They had those 2 turnovers, disrupted, confused Hartzell. They've been trying to do that the whole game, but you know, he's had a lot of composure for a guy in his first start. Get the ball to Mitchell. Boston College has to do that. You know, that we saw him with 2 catches in that first half. They've got to get the ball to him more.
Hartzell, the quarterback for Boston College, in his first career start, 7 of 13, a total of 122 yards in the first half, and 1 touchdown pass. That one coming on the first play of the game, so he showed a lot of poise. Jeff Beckley kicking off for the Eagles. That's Mercury Hayes back deep, along with Seth Smith, number 86 for Michigan. It'll be Smith at the 7-yard line. He has a huge gaping hole, and he's brought down at the 35.
You know, Mark, when the game began, we said Boston College had to have some early success here to build their confidence, take the crowd out of the game. I feel that now more than ever. They've got to start the second half with some early success as well. They started out and had the touchdown, and they played well the entire first half. Here, I think they've got to have some success where Michigan can blow them out.
Their leader defensively has been Stephen Boyd, the middle linebacker, making a lot of tackles in the first 30 minutes. Collins out to pass quickly, and he's brought down. Sacked back at the 31-yard line by number 99, Stalin Collinet.
Boy, that's what we were talking about. Early success. The defense did it. Collinet already set in the pace. And this is the pressure they had on Collins early on. That's the second sack of the game for BC.
Collinet led it for the first time just a year ago. A player who's a sophomore, just starting to come into his own now. Just underway here in the third quarter. Michigan with a 14-12 lead. Backs out of the eye. It's Davis and Shea Foster. That's Davis in motion. Collins over the middle, had Mercury Hayes wide open, and he threw a Magic Johnson bounce pass to him.
Disrupt the passing game. Boston College has to do it. Those two plays, they've done it.
Collins has completed 64.1% of his passes coming into this game in his Michigan career. That's the highest in Michigan history. Last year passed for over 2,500 yards. He's 69% today. Three receivers in for Michigan. Collins under heavy pressure finds Toomer, and he makes a great move. Toomer with a first down to the 42-yard line of Boston College. Man, can I get some fries with that shake? Did you see the move that Toomer put on the DB? Spun away from him.
Yeah, but what a play by Collins again. Collins had the blitz coming, felt it on both sides of him, still stayed in and made the completion. Watch this. Collins knows he's getting pressure from both sides. Now he steps up and it's coming up the middle. He's hit before he releases it by Mamula, and still the ball's sitting there waiting. Look at Toomer. Little spin move there. Little duck and dive there. Toomer now 5 catches, 128 yards, a touchdown. That's a career high.
There's Shea Foster, the fullback. He's brought down right around the line of scrimmage. May have gotten a yard. He was tackled by Sanabria.
See that winged helmet that Michigan wears? That helmet was designed by Fritz Chrysler way back in the 1930s so that the quarterback could see the receivers. Put the stripes on the helmet and the wing up front so they could see the receivers. The helmet would stick out so that he could locate them and throw the football.
Well, it's working for Amani Toomer.
You know, Bo Schembechler got here. He thought it'd be funny at his first press conference and said, first thing we'll do is change that ugly wing helmet. Nobody laughed. He said he's never making another comment like that about the helmets.
And Todd Collins calls a Michigan timeout. A little mix-up down on the field. 13:09 remaining in the third quarter. Michigan with the lead. Back in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Downstairs now to Gary Reasons. Gary?
The only notable injury the first half was the defensive tackle, Tony Henderson from Michigan. He had his foot stepped on. The doctor says he may come back for the ball game, but that's doubtful. They've got Will Carr in there right now.
All right, Gary, Michigan with a 2-point lead right now. Biaka Batuka is the lone back, and he gets the handoff, breaks 2 tackles down to the 32-yard line, but a late flag thrown on the play back at the 40.
This is going to be holding again against Michigan, and the penalties have hurt the Wolverines the entire ball game.
That's exactly what the call is.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
Here's the guy in the middle, Stephen Boyd. He's extremely active. Boyd has to get by one. There's the ball. Bingo. He's around the ball every single play. He's got 9 tackles this afternoon. 6'1", 235 pounds. They're doubling him up. He's getting off the blocker and finding the football every play.
Second down and 21 for the Wolverines. 3 receivers in, a handoff to Biaka Batuka. Boy, look at that move. The man from north of the border, from Longueuil, Quebec,
is down to the 38-yard line and got back a good chunk of the yardage. He picked up 16 that time before he be brought down by Eric Shorter.
You know, when we said earlier, we were talking about Wheatley, and we said, hey, it's kind of like Barry Sanders playing behind Thurman Thomas in college. Well, this is it. This is the one everybody's excited about. Davis does an awfully nice job, but it's Biaka Batuka that has the talent that really excites the crowd. They call him Touchdown Tim. 5 touchdowns in his freshman year. Every time he touches the ball, he's exciting. Could break it. Averages 5 per carry.
Collins being blitzed from the weak side and a completion to Toomer. Amani Toomer could score, and he does.
This is the Michigan we thought we'd see from the outset. Again, Collins gets pounded. Watch 56, Sanabria come in and just level him. Boom, right there. He still gets the pass off. It's a strike right in the hook area. Then the DB falls down, and the dive at the end, I give him a 7.5 on that, but the touchdown makes it 20-12 Michigan.
That was the Hollywood effect, no doubt. Toomer, 6 receptions today. A total of 166 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the extra point is good.
You know, I don't like that dive in the end zone afterwards. That's where a guy can get hurt without even needing to. Matter of fact, he's coming up limping.
Unless it's necessary, you really shouldn't do it.
No, absolutely not. Here's the guy that's making these plays, though. Todd Collins is delivering the football even when he's getting hit. This time before the hit, he lets it go, but he knows it's coming. Sanabria, 56, just drilled him, and he, too, came up limping. Collins did. He's now 13 of 18, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the interception.
Last year, Tim, Collins averaged 209 yards passing a game. And Coach Moeller was telling us when we visited him with him yesterday that Collins is that much better this year. And as he said earlier, he thinks Collins is slightly underrated.
And you talk about the receiving corps. Toomer, of course, having a career day, but I mean, Derek Alexander, he signed a 4-year, $3 million deal with the Browns August 3rd. He's gone. Toomer's still here. Smith was here, and Hayes. Now Smith goes out, but Hayes and Toomer make up a formidable duo.
And still on the Michigan passing game, they actually simplified it quite a bit this year. They kind of took some stuff out of it to make it more fundamental. And Moeller thinks that's going to help as the season progresses.
This is a talented football team. We were just wondering when Michigan was going to wake up. They came out and sleptwalked through the first quarter, half of the second quarter.
Here's Hamilton with the kick. Watson and Ransom back deep for Boston College. This is Watson. Looking for an alley, but not finding one, and he's brought down at the 25-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Gary Reasons. Gary?
I'm behind the BC defense, and they came off the field. Stephen Boyd, middle linebacker, was incensed. He's really upset about their defensive play. They're trying to get focused. These guys are down here trying to rally themselves together. They're trying to calm down, stop the big plays.
All right, Gary. Thank you. That's really what they need to do now. They can't afford to let this thing slip away any more than it is right now. They trail by 9.
No, it's paramount, I think, right now for the offense. Not try to get it all back at once. They've got to maintain their composure. They're only down 21-12. Get something going here. Make the offense click and mix your plays like you did early on.
David Green, the sole back behind the quarterback, Hartzell. Mitchell in motion. He's going to have to get involved. Hartzell fires a dart complete to Cannon, who gains about 5 more yards after making the catch. Had about 4 players on him. Boy, that's up 20 yards.
Nice looking play, too. Hartzell has a gun. He really has a good, strong arm, and he's a big guy. And that time he showed composure and sat in the pocket and made the pass. You know, he missed his last 3 passes of the first half. So it's good that he comes out and he gets this completion. Try to get back into a rhythm again.
Important to note, though, Tim, 2 of those passes were dropped by Green.
All right, now watch this. He gets good protection, sits, steps up, and throws the pass with authority right between the 2 defenders. Nicely done.
Bryce in motion. A little play action this time. Hartzell has another man complete, and it's Cannon again.
quickly eating up yardage down to the 33 of Michigan.
You know how close that play was to breaking the distance? I mean, Law went after the interception and almost sidestepped the receiver. Watch this. Ty Law goes for the pick. Gives ground, now breaks on the football. Great break. Goes for the pick, can't get it, out of position, comes back and makes what really was a touchdown saving tackle on Cannon.
Ty Law, an All-American candidate, one of the best in the country. Good cover guy.
6 interceptions in 1993. 3-game streak now, 1 or more.
More play action, backside pressure. The pass incomplete, intended for Pete Mitchell. Had it in his grasp, but then had it knocked away by Anderson.
Good play by Hartzell, though. Hartzell hung in there, and he had pressure. There's a nice drag across the middle, gets behind the linebackers.
That's a catchable pass.
Should have been caught, absolutely. And that's unusual. You know, he has 3 catches today. I said he had to touch the ball 8 or 10 times for them to be successful. They've got to start going to him more. You know, in the upset over Notre Dame, he had 13 catches. 10 of those were for first downs.
He's a big play receiver. And Boston College could use a few big plays right now. They hand it off to David Green. Couldn't get outside. Nice tackle that time by Jared Irons. Good pursuit.
10th tackle today for Irons.
Well, we talked about Michigan's game with Notre Dame last year. They have them again coming up on October the 8th.
This is one of the toughest schedules in the country, if not the toughest. 6 opponents ranked: Notre Dame, Colorado, Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Illinois, and then here's Boston College's schedule.
Michigan, of course, playing Notre Dame next week. 3rd down and 8 for Boston College. Quick drop, and it's incomplete. Intended for Cannon again. And Deion Johnson, number 28, providing some solid coverage that time.
Johnson actually almost riding the back of Cannon, but you can't have any pass interference if the ball's not catchable. This ball was overthrown. It's a timing pattern. They're trying to just run the streak, the fly pattern. Now watch this. Here comes Johnson on his back, had that left hand riding his back for about the last 3 yards, but the ball was overthrown, not catchable, no interference.
Well, coming in now, Tim, to attempt a field goal from almost 50 yards out. They're calling it 49 officially. This is David Gordon. He's made one already today. It's down, and it's blocked. Michigan comes up with the block. And they will take over on the 8-yard line.
You know, actually, by blocking the field goal, they lost field position. They would have been stretching the distance for him at 49. Been tough for him to make that anyway. But here, they block it, and because of the block, they go all the way back inside the 10.
Penetration right up the middle to foil the attempt. College football on ABC Sports is brought to you by Tostitos brand restaurant-style tortilla chips. And Subaru. Test drive an all-weather, all-road, all-wheel drive Subaru today. It is the 118th consecutive sellout here at Michigan Stadium. Over 105,000 people in attendance on this Saturday afternoon.
3rd time Michigan starting a drive inside its own 10-yard line, poor field position.
Michigan with possession after that blocked field goal attempt. Shea Foster, nice spin move, and he breaks a couple of tackles and has a first down out of the 22-yard line, but there's a flag thrown back on the field at the 8.
Yeah, this is going to get against the defense again. Because of the non-rhythmic cadence, it looked like Boston College jumped. So they'll decline it, move the chains. He's got the first down. It's against Boston College.
David Gordon. We'll get to his story in a minute. Here's the offside.
Defense. Penalties decline. First down.
Pick up a 14.
the 21-yard line. Outside, it's Ed Davis. And a nice play on the corner that time. Boyd coming in to make the tackle as well. Back to New York with John Saunders. John?
Mark, Florida State playing without 5 suspended players. It hasn't shown here. Rod Preston, 3rd and goal. 3-yard touchdown run. 27-3 now. The Seminoles on top. Mark and Tim.
Awful that investigation has really taken its toll on Florida State.
Well, in the battle now between between the state and the NCAA, the state laws and the NCAA.
And Steve Spurrier has said some inflammatory remarks, made some remarks about Florida State and their troubles right now. Things that have made headlines up in Tallahassee. Davis out to the 25-yard line, tackled by Chris Sullivan. 8:48 to play in the 3rd quarter. Michigan leads Boston College 21-12. We talked about Boston College and Dan Henning's schedule. Michigan with the toughest schedule in the country.
Yeah, as you look at this, 6 opponents are ranked. Notre Dame, Colorado, Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Illinois all ranked, although Illinois struggled the other night and lost.
Here's the screen pass to Davis, brought down from behind. Stephen Boyd is really making even more of a name for himself today.
Boyd is playing an outstanding football game. That's his 10th tackle of the afternoon. Wherever Boyd is, that's where the football is. I mean, he leads you to it every time. Heard Gary talking about Boyd is the one that's trying to motivate the defense. Had them together on the sidelines, trying to get them going, get them refocused.
Linebacker really is one of those leadership positions too, isn't it?
Well, it can be by leadership.
Nate DeLong into punt. Standing on the 11, Watson back for Boston College. He's on his own 36. The lefty gets off a high spiral. Watson at the 40 calls for the fair catch. Well, Monday night, it's the premiere of the 25th anniversary season of ABC's Monday Night Football. From Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the Raiders take on Steve Young and the 49ers, live at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC's Monday Night Football. The Raiders just win, baby.
A lot of folks putting San Francisco in the Super Bowl. I saw them against the Redskins. I worked that game a couple of weeks ago. Joe Montana looked very, very sharp. But then I saw the Raiders in Dallas work that game, and I've never seen so much speed from the skill folks.
Jeff Hostetler can just air that thing out. Throw it up and let one of those speedsters run underneath the ball.
I say the 49ers played Washington. I was thinking Kansas City, but San Francisco, a lot of people picking for the Super Bowl. And then the Raiders, of course, with all that speed on the outside, they're going to be dangerous this year. Art Shell's got a nice ball club.
Yeah, Hostetler seems to be a lot more comfortable with them this year as well.
I can't stop thinking of Joe Montana out of San Francisco. That's my problem. What a job he did with Kansas City.
Ball on the 39-yard line for Boston College. Their last possession, they had a field goal attempt blocked. Nice run this time over midfield and into Michigan territory. That was David Green. More on the USC-Washington game from John Saunders in New York.
Washington and USC, and you want to see a terrific power run? Sean Walters runs over Lawyer Malloy and then carries a couple of guys with him into the end zone. It's now tied 17 apiece. Back to you.
All right, John, we talked about professional coaches, NFL guys coming back to college. John Robinson, another one out at USC, and doing a fine job out there, too.
Hey, you know, we're talking about Michigan. We're talking about San Francisco. Of course, the backup to Steve Young is Elvis Gerbeck, who was a quarterback here at Michigan.
There were some people that felt, while Gerbeck was here, Tim, that Collins still might have been the better man at the time. There was a bit of controversy that really didn't make a lot of the headlines at the time. Well, Collins has proven himself now.
Collins, the high school All-America, obviously he had to wait 3 years to replace Elvis at quarterback, and he was a red shirt, and now he's the record setter. No question about his talent.
Collins 14-19, 236 yards, but this is his counterpart delivering a strike to Pete Mitchell. Mitchell going low and making the reception at the 45-yard line, tackled by Clarence Thompson. Hartzell put the ball right where it had to be.
Good field position for Boston College. Last time BC moved the ball, they attempted a 49-yard field goal, had that blocked. Here they are again in Michigan territory. Time now becomes urgent that BC gets something going. 6:05 to go third quarter. The crowd, being a smart crowd here in Michigan and Ann Arbor, they've realized that and they've come to life.
Boston College, 1 of 7 on third down conversions. A flag down. Could be a free one for BC. A nice pass complete to who else? Pete Mitchell, Mr. All-American for BC. He's tackled by Ty Law, but he does have the first down if this flag is not against Boston College. And the first down will stand. It's against Michigan. That was a big third down conversion for Boston College, Tim.
With or without the penalty. I mean, Top Gun Pete Mitchell had got to get him more involved.
Offside defense. Penalties decline. First down.
Mitchell, 6'2", 238-pounder out of Brother Rice High School. Not a 4'2" guy, and he's certainly not the biggest. But I'll tell you, he's got some outstanding hands.
And he doesn't want to go back home this summer and have to hear it from Steve Morrison, his former high school teammate, about how he lost to Michigan.
Saw the number on the penalties, a lot of them, but it is the first game.
Broken play, Tim. Hartzell with nobody to hand the ball off to and nowhere to run. Tackled at the 35.
Speaking of the first game, that's the first broken play we've seen from Hartzell. He hasn't done a whole lot that's really been wrong this afternoon. You know, when you're going against a team with Michigan and you turn around and look for your ball carrier and he's not there, what must go through your mind?
Call mom. 5 minutes to play now in the third quarter.
Bottom line is that's a wasted down, though, for Boston College on this drive.
Mitchell in motion. He's made a couple of receptions on this drive. This time, Hartzell has it dropped by...
They're calling it a completion and a fumble, I believe. They're marking it where he caught the ball, and they're saying it was a fumble.
I'm not sure that he had possession. But the officials are spotting it.
They have spotted it.
I think they're going to talk this one over. Here's another look at it.
Referee's Ron Winter. He'll talk to the officials about this one, but look, still doesn't have possession. That's incomplete. That is a bad call by the officials. They spotted it, said it was complete, and a fumble. That is a wrong call.
That wasn't even close to being a completed pass. And now it is Michigan's ball. They're saying it was a fumble.
When those officials look at the replay of this game, they will say they blew it. Watch this now. He never had possession of this pass. He should have. Well thrown. You can't tell from that angle. But he never made the catch. Michigan gets a break.
We've seen Lauro do that twice today.
You'll see it here. Watch this. Never had possession of the ball.
You start to say, Tim, Lauro has done that twice today where he's really struggled with putting the ball away and trying to catch it.
I think when Lauro jumped back for it and tried to recover it, it actually sold the officials that he thought he had the completion.
And here comes Ed Davis. Right up the middle out to the 38-yard line.
What was that, a bad call?
Well, we do have the benefit of replay. Porter and Boyd in on the tackle that time. Let's go downstairs to Gary Reasons. Gary?
Stephen Boyd has really stepped up. We talked about leadership. He's making play after play. That one, he dove in at the legs and made the tackle. He's having to come to the front to get this BC defense going, and he's doing a very fine job of it.
Well, you got that right. 10 tackles. And, I mean, he gets to the ball in a hurry.
Gary likes those linebacker stories, doesn't he? Play action by Collins going upstairs. He was looking for Toomer, but overthrew his... Good coverage that time, provided by Michael Reed and the free safety, Wiggins.
They're in a two-deep situation. You can see the safety in the back picture there, 49. Now he starts his karaoke, turns and runs. Now watch this. They'll close out the receiver, actually squeeze him out. Toomer never had a chance.
Tim, when you say karaoke, a lot of people think
the crossover step. Crossover step when you turn and you start to run and turn your body.
It's not singing though.
Well, for you it is.
Bianca Batuka, the lone back for Michigan. And he gets the carry. Displaying good balance, falling forward out to the 44-yard line.
For you, it's karaoke. For me, it's karaoke.
Florida and New Mexico State just getting underway in the first quarter.
We'll be down in Gainesville next week. See the Gators against Kentucky.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier has made a lot of defensive changes. They've gone to a 4-3-4, and he shuffled around a lot of his coaches down there at Gainesville.
It's good to see Kentucky. Kentucky playing Louisville tonight. It's the first time in 70 years those two have met.
Michigan punting now. This is DeLong. And that's not a long punt. He shanks it big time. Out of bounds right near midfield. They're going to mark it at the 44-yard line. And that's a terrible punt. An 11-yard punt. I'm Mark Jones along with Tim Brandt and Gary Reasons in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Wolverines leading Boston College 21-12 with 3:14 to play here in the third quarter.
Boston College has to get it going now. Time of the essence. 3:14 to go, third period. They've got to get going here. There's got to be a sense of urgency offensively.
DeLong shanked the punt that went just 11 yards, and Boston College has the ball on the 43-yard line. Little play action. Hartzell going up top, wide open. Incomplete for Cannon.
Just, you believe it?
Just overthrown.
That ball. Look at Hartzell, the young sophomore's first collegiate start. Stepped back and he saw him wide open and just laid it out there by a step too far. Cannon still looked like he could almost get it. Watch this. Steps up and throws the pass with authority. He's already split the two-deep zone. That ball really could have been caught. It would have been a great catch, but it could have been caught.
He was laid out for it, Cannon was.
Hartzell thought this ball was caught. Watch this. Then he can't believe it. Cannon's playing with a sore quadricep muscle, and they didn't even think he would play today.
They run it this time out to the 46-yard line.
He's not 100% by any stretch of the imagination. They didn't know if he would play or how much he would play. Number 27, Clarence Cannon. He's a game-breaker type guy, though. He could be all Big East this year. 38 receptions last year, and he averages 18 per catch. Remember, he had that 78-yard touchdown in the bowl win over Virginia?
He's a big play, man. Three wide receivers in for BC. Big third down conversion attempt. Hartzell under pressure, brought down at the 49. Matt Dyson, Michigan's best pass rusher, made the tackle.
Boy, Hartzell paid the price, too, for running that football.
Fourth down, Tim. Decision time for Dan Henning. Do you think about going for it?
No, there's too much time in the ball game. But he is going to do it. I wouldn't. 2:06 to go, third period. You're only down 21-12.
Boston College has not scored a touchdown since the very first offensive play of the game.
Michigan went for one earlier and made it.
Mitchell is to the right of Hartzell. Bryce in motion.
They're just trying to draw him all. Smart play by Henning. He had no intention of running a play.
So they take the penalty.
Smart play by Dan Henning. No intention to go for it on fourth. Just line up. See if you can get them to jump off sides. If not, you only lose 5 yards and you punt from the 30.
Gary Moeller in his 5th year as head coach here in Ann Arbor. Filling some huge shoes. The shoes of Moshe Beckley. Beckley on his own 35. Toomer's going to let it bounce at the 20. This time it takes a Michigan bounce out to the 23, which is where it is down. Next Saturday on ABC's College Football, the Trojans of USC invade Penn State to tackle the Nittany Lions, or the Buckeyes of Ohio State take on Washington. And it's Kentucky against #1 Florida down in Gainesville, which is where Tim and I will be. Louisville against number 20 Texas, and BYU against Air Force. It starts at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific
here on ABC. And don't forget to call your local cable operators for the pay-per-view games available in your area.
Folks up at Chestnut Hill had to be excited in the first half the way Boston College played. They played pretty well here in the second half too, but find themselves down 21-12.
Foster and Davis now in the backfield for Michigan out of the I. Movement up front. No flag. This is Davis. Davis tries the right side, running over Sullivan and Guys. They'll gain about 3 yards. Davis filling in for Tyrone Wheatley, who is watching this one from the sidelines. Suffered a separated shoulder, a second-degree separation. Wheatley on the sidelines. There he is.
15 100-yard games for him. 40 touchdowns.
Great athlete, too. Ran track here at Michigan.
Oh, look at this. Nice waggle.
Collins throws a bullet complete to Toomer. Toomer approaching a school record now for receiving yards in a game.
You think these guys haven't found a rhythm? Collins on that play had a little play action and then just walked back away from the action, set up and fired it. Now watch this. Here's the fake. Now watch. He'll just kind of walk back on his own, little waggle they call that, and set up, look for the hook area, and look who's there. Toomer, what a day he's having.
179 yards on 7 receptions. The school record is 197 yards. Biaka Batuka on the carry. And he's brought down just over the 40 at the 41-yard line. And that'll be the last play of the third quarter here at Michigan Stadium. The Wolverines leading Boston College by a score of 20-12. We'll return with more action between Boston College and Michigan after this message and a word from our ABC stations. College 21-12. I'm Mark Jones along with Tim Brandt and Gary Reasons. On a day when Boston College started off in a very auspicious manner, scoring on the first play, but since then, Michigan has taken control and they lead by 9 points. And here's more from Mercury Hayes from Todd Collins. Hayes, the speedster out of Houston, Texas, picks up 22 yards for the Wolverines. First down. The ball is at the 37-yard line.
Collins having a terrific day, 16 of 22 for 271 yards. But look at Mercury Hayes here. Again in the zone. They're working free in the zone. They're playing the 2-deep scheme. Kamara, the cornerback, just let him go right past him rather than riding him for about 10 yards and then coming back. There was nobody else in his area. But Hayes, well, he is some kind of player. He led the team with 5 touchdown receptions last year out of Houston, Texas.
There's Biaka Batuka. Oh, man, look at him go. He could score. Pushed out of bounds at the 2-yard line. Biaka Batuka. His full first name is Tishmanga. You can call him Tim. You can call him fast. You can call him anything. He almost called in a touchdown.
Well, the fans do call him Touchdown Tim because of his 5 touchdowns last year as a freshman. This guy averages big yardage every time he touches it, but watch this. He makes people miss. They break down, and he just kind of drifts right by him. Carrera that time had an open field. You got to go after him high and not give it away. He just grasped bare, and the Batuka went past him.
Up the middle this time, touchdown. The same man. You got to give it to him.
Touchdown Tim, Biaka Batuka. 7 carries, 81 yards, and that touchdown.
And the Wolverines cut once again into the heart and the hopes of Boston College with that touchdown. 6 plays, 72 yards, using just under 2 minutes, and the extra point is no good from Eric Lavelle.
Is he special, though, Biaka Batuka? You're going to see more and more of him. He's got quickness. He's got tremendous instincts. And he's a competitive guy. Plus, he has a 298-pound line in front of him. Watch the surge from the offensive line and watch Biaka Batuka just follow him in. Little trap, Biaka Batuka pushes in. Says hello to Boyd, pushes him into the end zone. Touchdown.
Biaka Batuka said that this year is going to be entirely different from last year for him, simply because of the fact that he has a year's worth of experience. Says he knows a lot more about the intricacies and the subtleties of his position.
Yeah, not only on the football field, but also of the college experience, how to balance his studies. And he does have some tough studies. I mean, he's studying kinesiology and majoring in movement science. How to balance that classroom work study time with the football, learn their schemes to double load, and he's done quite well.
I can tell you, Tim, from personal experience coming from the Canadian schooling system in high school, that it is very strict, and he's probably got some pretty good study habits, although I wasn't as fortunate. He probably took tougher classes than I did, too. Hamilton to kick off for Michigan. To Tony Ransom and Kenyatta Watson. This is Ransom. And the tackle was made by the kicker, Hamilton. Nice return that time, though, by Ransom out to the 34-yard line. Well, the kicking game hasn't been a factor so far for Michigan. That's one of the concerns.
You know how earlier, though, we were saying that Boston College had to maintain its composure, didn't have to rush, still had plenty of time. Now they've got to rush. 27-12 with 14 minutes left. Got to make some things happen in a hurry if they're going to get back in this ball game.
Hartzell making his first career start. Hands it off. Gain of about 3 yards to Green. Back to New York and John Saunders. John, what do you have for us?
Well, Mark, as you know, if there's a question about #1 Florida, it's on defense. Their 6th defensive coordinator in the last 8 years is Bob Pruitt, and he's watching New Mexico State get a touchdown, 73 yards. Cody Ledbetter to Lucius Davis, and it ties the game at 7 apiece. That's where they stand now. At the Mark and Tim.
All right, John. Didn't like the way that my man over there was carrying the ball into the end zone, Tim. Kind of careless. And an incomplete, or is it complete? What are they going to rule? Loose ball, Michigan ball. The ball was on the ground for what seemed forever.
How he can call that a fumble, Dan Henning doesn't like it. It looked like the ground caused the fumble. It was definitely a completion. Nobody could get back to it. Take a look at this. After the catch becomes like slow motion. Hartzell with a terrific pass here. I mean, he just drills it in. All right, there's the catch. Then they go down. The ball now comes loose. And the ground, they say, can't cause a fumble. That should not have been a fumble.
Deion Johnson, number 28, made the fumble recovery for Michigan, if it was a fumble.
Yeah, but watch Cannon. There it is. There is the ground, the impact forcing the ball out. The beanbag to mark the football.
Seen 2 of those today now.
Yeah, but that is not a fumble. The ground can't cause a fumble.
Now, the last time that happened, Lauro for Boston College was said to have caught it, and he clearly did not have possession.
Both of those have gone against Boston College.
And here comes Eddie Davis down to the 38-yard line, and now you can really sense the air coming out of Boston College's collective balloon. May and Shorter that time making the tackle, but 9 yards downfield won't get it done.
You know, I think that a back judge, I think he was confused. Watch this now. There's the completion. Here comes the impact. Impact, ball, now loose. Now, here comes the beanbag. That indicates to me that's where the ball is going to be marked, that it's a dead ball. Instead, it's a live ball. They give it to Michigan on the fumble.
Little counterplay. Davis with a gaping hole, flag down to the 42-yard line. On the interior line, tackle made by Brian May for Boston College. 12:48 remaining in the 4th quarter. And it is against the Wolverines. Well, tomorrow the PGA's best take aim in the final round of the Greater Milwaukee Open presented by Sharps. After 3 rounds, Bob Estes leads the field. Live coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 3 Central and Pacific time here on ABC Sports.
Holding against Michigan, that'll move them back. You know, even though Michigan right now seemingly in command 27-12, this is going to be an exciting year for Boston College. It's a talented team. BC will sell out every home game this year. That's the first time that's ever happened. They've got the new stadium that's just completed. Exciting times for Dan Heading and Boston College.
It seems to be a program that hasn't skipped a beat since the departure of Tom Coughlin.
No, that's right, but it's a tough schedule. I mean, BC lost to Miami in the season opener last year. Here they have Michigan. Of course, they end with Miami this year.
Little waggle by Collins, wide open, and it's dropped by Pierre Cooper. The 6'2", 225-pound sophomore had it right in his arms and could not squeeze the pigskin.
You know, Cooper is an outstanding player. He should have had that pass, but he played in all 11 games as a freshman. Remember that big catch he had against Notre Dame? But he has a bulging disc, and they had to decide whether they were going to operate on him or try just other techniques where they didn't operate and see if he could withstand the pressure. Here he is back. They've worked on him. He didn't have the surgery. They've worked on him in the offseason. He's coming back from the bulging disc. It's good to see him on the field.
That's a pass that he would love to have over again. 3rd down and 11 to go. They try to set up the screen. They do, and they don't. And it's a loose ball. Now we've seen it 3 times.
Boston College ball. And look who it is, Boyd. Sullivan got the push. Boyd got the ball. His 2nd fumble recovery of the day.
Davis was hit immediately upon catching the ball, Tim, and it came loose.
First thing you want to watch is the way the screen is set up. Boston College all over it. 93 Sullivan comes up with Boyd. They both make the hit. Ball pops out. That is a fumble. And Boyd knows it and gets on it immediately. So now BC with good field position.
Well, they get it right back, plus a few yards. Ball's at the 39, 12:15 to play in the 4th quarter.
And a long drought for this offense.
Hartzell underthrows his intended receiver, number 4, Kenyatta Watson. One of the few times today that Hartzell has thrown a poor pass. He's a good size, strong arm. Coaches say he has great mechanics.
Boy, as great as Glenn Foley was and gave all that excitement to the folks up at Chestnut Hill, no withdrawal pains from Glenn Foley here today. This is a quality quarterback. And so many coaches, I know Tom Coughlin's staff felt that way. A lot of coaches feel this kid has as much, if not more, potential than Foley.
Mitchell in motion. They come back the other way. And another fumble. Green coughs it up. He puts it on the ground.
No, it's out of bounds.
It's out of bounds. He did fumble it, though. Zenkowitz wrapped him up.
Don't let the ball hit the ground. Backside screen set up nicely. One block could have sprung that. Landry, 63, had to get out there. You see the Zenkowitz and then the ball rolling out of bounds. If it goes out of bounds, offense retains possession. They have.
And now it is 3rd down for Boston College. They need to score on this drive, no doubt about it. Hartzell, lots of time, finds a man, and it's a 1st down at the 27-yard line to Mr. Clutch, Pete Mitchell.
That's his 6th catch, 42 yards, a couple 1st downs mixed in there.
A nice ball delivered that time by Hartzell. Tim, when you're looking at a young quarterback, what kind of things do you look for in terms of breaking down his talent level?
Well, first you look at the mechanics. You look at his size, his speed, strength of arm, then his composure and knowledge, and his poise. He seems to have all that.
Green carries for about 2 yards. Back to John Saunders and New York.
Mark, USC has now come all the way back to take the lead. 3rd and goal here, Sean Walters. His 2nd consecutive touchdown of the game. This one from 3 yards. And right now 24-17 with about 6 minutes left. Mark and Tim.
Well, John Robinson really has things going for USC. A flanker screen is dropped by Greg Grice, the man that caught the only touchdown today for Boston College.
There again, you saw the height of the defensive lineman for Michigan, and it made Hartzell have to readjust and throw a bad pass. The screen was set up properly. He just couldn't get it to him. 94 is Jason Horn, who's 6'5", 280. Have a big guy coming in like that. Well, he's a tough guy, too. He's a nose guard last year. He's had a good spring. But when you're 6'5" and have that great big hand extension, you got to throw around him.
A look at the interior line of Boston College. 3rd down and 9. Mitchell was in motion, but he's blocking now. Hartzell went for Grice, and he couldn't squeeze it. Good coverage that time by Tyrone Noble, the backup corner.
Noble, the guy that broke that pass up, is a transplanted running back, recruited by Notre Dame and Florida State. Good player.
Look at some of the night games on the docket tonight. Notre Dame and Penn State in action. UCLA and Tennessee. UCLA and J.J. Stokes. That UCLA-Tennessee game on ABC tonight.
Under 11 minutes to go, and Boston College is going on 4th down. They have to go now.
Hartzell with time, over the head of Grice again. So Michigan will take possession.
Boy, I think Cannon was open too. He went after 20 Grice, but 27 Cannon was open.
The maize and blue rolling along. I really loved Gerald Jamal Stokes.
Oh, why don't you go out on a limb? J.J. Stokes, one of the great receivers in college football.
And the Eagle has been taken hostage here in Ann Arbor. I hope they don't pluck him. He's already bald, so I'm not sure what they're going to do. Batuka is the deep back.
Look at this guy. I love to watch him run.
Great legs.
You know, I think he's the next great record setter here at Michigan. He's already got one record, you know. He's got the longest name in NCAA history, 20 letters.
Hold on, let me count them.
Bishomango Batuka.
Duke destroying Maryland today.
Yeah, the Terrapins have absolutely no defense. Last in the NCAA last year.
From time to time, they have scored a few points.
Thanks.
And the Eagle has been released. First and 10 for Michigan. The ball on the 37-yard line. Batuka, he makes people miss. Out to the 47-yard line, picked up about 8 on that play. Boyd and Porter making the tackle. Batuka now with 9 rushes for 101 yards on the day.
Talking about Maryland, I knew it was going to be another long season for him. I played in the alumni game in the spring, and we almost won the game. The alumni went for 2 at the end to beat the varsity. Got video of that if you want to see it.
You brought it with you. I see something in your bag.
You want me to roll it now?
And you live to talk about it. 2nd down and 1 for the Wolverines. Batuka.
They can't stop him.
No, not at all. First down out to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 12 that time. And the crazies in Ann Arbor love it.
6'1", 205-pounder out of Quebec. He's got those quick feet, but he has great instincts. Just has those short steps until he sees the hole. Once the hole opens, he explodes through it.
You mentioned Quebec, Tim. The interesting thing about Canadian football players, when they come across the border, traditionally they're a lot older because they do an extra year of high school up in Canada. They go up to a 13th grade, if you want to say that. So they're a little more mature physically. Here's the counter gap. Batuka down to the 28-yard line. A pickup of 13.
Batuka now well over 100 yards. Remember, he had that big game against Purdue last year as a freshman, went well over 100 yards as well. Folks here in Michigan love him.
And Tyrone Wheatley is healing on the sidelines this afternoon.
You know what else that success does? He gets a standing ovation as he goes out of the ball game, and the coaches give him a big hug. But that will also make that guy get well that much faster. You see somebody playing extremely well, it makes you healthy in a hurry. Your banged up shoulder will get well.
Coach, I'm feeling better today.
Yeah, better get back out there.
And here's Shea Foster, who's out there. Foster pushed out of bounds at the 4. The big, burly, 245-pound junior takes it 25 yards with a burst of speed. Finally hauled down by Wiggins.
That's Wheatley's roommate right there.
First down for Michigan.
Been his roommate for years.
Nice cut back here by Shea Foster, Tim.
Once he gets rolling, look at that 245 pounds. Gets up a pretty good head of steam. Key guy in this offense. He's an imposing blocker. Here's Tyrone Wheatley.
He's calling the plays.
Over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns last year in 10 games.
Davis into the middle of the line. That time nowhere to go. 8:40 remaining in the game. Michigan comfortably ahead 27-12. Today's attendance 105, 936. So they're ahead of the 1993 average by a few hundred. The 118th consecutive sellout.
Capacity 102, 501.
A few people snuck in. And this is Biaka Batuka.
I knew Michigan dressed a lot of people, but that's ridiculous. Almost 100 guys on the sidelines today dressed in maize and blue from Michigan. That's a big team, and it's a talented program. Well, a lot of the fans here get impatient, though. You know that?
This is one, and another thing we talked about, Tim. 105,000 people here can be very quiet. They're not really a what you would call very vociferous 105,000.
I was reading some of the articles in the Wolverine publication, and they said, you know, this is a good team, but not a great team.
There's Davis outside. He'll score.
They look pretty impressive right now.
And the familiar chorus of Hail to the Victors is being played again.
Love their football in Michigan. What a great scene this is in college football.
Also, we might add, one of the best college football bands in the country.
You know, Boston College held Michigan to just 11 yards in the first quarter. Got 184 since.
Hamilton with the extra point. And this one is good. So with 7:27 to play in the game, Michigan leading 34-12. Now the right numbers today. His team leading 34-12 with just under 7.5 minutes to play in the ball game. Collins from Massachusetts.
Yeah, you know what he said? He says, we'll need about 5 pizzas for that celebration after this game. Can you have it delivered? We'll be done here shortly in about 7 minutes and 27 seconds.
He will or could go down as one of the most accurate passers in Michigan football history. And he and Amani Toomer seem to have some great chemistry going between them.
You know, the Eagles' strength coming into this game was a defense that had 8 returning starters from last year. And I mean, they played well in that first quarter. But the offense has not been able to generate time off the clock or scores. Consequently, the defense wore down, and Michigan now just exploiting that.
Hamilton's kick down to the 10. This is Ransom. Brought down at the 24-yard line. Well, the game started well for Boston College. Greg Grice with a 74-yard touchdown reception from Hartzell on the very first play of the game, and then they followed that up with a safety. They took a surprising 9-0 lead in the first quarter. Then David Gordon made it 12-0, courtesy of a 28-yard field goal. And that's when it all started to turn around. Michigan, Ed Davis goes for an 8-yard touchdown run, and then Amani Toomer with a 46-yard touchdown reception just before the end of the first half, and then another touchdown catch. That's him diving over. He didn't have to dive to catch it. And Biaka Batuka with a 1-yard touchdown run, make it 27-12. And fast Eddie Davis brings us to where we are right now. Intercepted once again. Clarence Thompson with the pick.
Turn out the lights. This one's been over for a while. 7:15 to go in the game. This is another turnover. They've got to now work on the psyche of Hartzell. They've got to keep Hartzell up mentally. He's down on himself a little bit.
He really shouldn't be. He's played well today. But this one, obviously, with Michigan in control. College football on ABC Sports has been brought to you by Chevrolet. The cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. Genuine Chevrolet. And Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Well, the faces of the Boston College players tell the story of their day. It started off in a propitious manner, but it has turned around since the very first quarter. Chris Floyd, the freshman, and John Ritchie, the backup fullback in the backfield.
Ball's loose.
And a fumble, and Boston College claims to have it, and they do.
Game's getting sloppy now. Boy, what a day Boyd has had. He's in there. I don't think he's got the ball, but watch this. Never really had it coming up from the center. Just couldn't get a grip, and then it was lost. That was Went at center who replaced Payne. So there might have been a difference in the switch up there. Then it was Sullivan that recovered it.
Number 50 has been very, very visible today for Boston College. No doubt their team's most valuable player.
Well, Boston College needs 3 touchdowns in a hurry.
Not an easy task.
Not at all.
Here's a reception by Watson. And Watson is down to the 42, right near the first down marker. And don't forget that coming up later tonight, the second half of our college football doubleheader here on ABC, Notre Dame number 3 against Northwestern. That one at Chicago Soldier Field. And number 13 Tennessee against number 14 UCLA. And what about, you know, we talked about J.J. Stokes. Wayne Cook, the quarterback, a guy who we saw a lot of last year, Tim, has really evolved and developed into one of the top guys in the country right now, I think.
Yeah, formidable foe in Tennessee, too. I'll tell you that a lot of people thought with Heath Schuler they would have been a top 5 team.
David Green busting one right down Main Street, down to the 26-yard line. Deion Johnson making the tackle, but not after a 15-yard pickup. And there's a look at Jeff Carr. He is the backup quarterback for Michigan. He is the son of Lloyd Carr, the defensive coordinator here for the Wolverines.
You know, this is the time for a head coach like Gary Moeller. You want to avoid injuries. You've had that in mind the entire game. I was surprised Collins and Toomer were still in there with 7.5 minutes to go when they had it the last time, leading 34-12. Get them out of there.
And speaking of injuries, Tim, that's Clarence Thompson, who is down on the field for Michigan.